Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Shiur Torah. Good to be back. We haven't been here in a little while, Baruch Hashem, in the place that I call Aventura, but I'm wrong every time because I forget the name. What is it, Aventura Isles? Sunny Isles? Something Isles? We're in Florida. How about that? No, you know, many people don't even know we're in Florida. A lot of people think, oh, I can't believe I've been watching your shiurim for 2 years. I never knew you were next door. That's why I keep saying lately, we're in Florida. Can't be too far. Baruch Hashem, we have the Mishnah in Avot, Perek Vav 6:6, chapter 6 of the Pirkei Avot, Mishnah number 6, a very long and delicious Mishnah. We started it last night. We'll continue Be'ezrat Hashem today with another Perek, with another section of it, and try to chip at this Mishnah one at a time. To be honest with you, when I was learning this Mishnah with Rabbi Ephraim, we talked about it before we started, and we said, so how should we do this shiur? How should we do this Mishnah? Should we just breeze through it? Or should we mamash learn it, like one word at a time? I told him personally, I don't want to finish the series. I don't want to finish. I like the series. I enjoy it. And you guys, thank you for coming, but I would do it anyway if you weren't here. But no, be'emet, b'zchutchem, we get all these chidushim, but your merit, we get the chidushim. But the point is that to me, I'm in no hurry to finish. I think that the deeper you get into each Mishnah, the more it rewires our brains and our neshamot, Be'ezrat Hashem. Shiur tonight will also be for Refuah Shlema for Ovadia ben Levana, Levana bat Sarah, Elisheva Chaya bat Sarah, Sani Shaul ben Avner, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Sarah bat Anat, David ben Nesriya, Doris bat Jora, Yochevet bat Batya, Batya bat Sarah, Michael Ben Sarah Leah. Huh? Sima Mimi bat Aziza. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll have refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. The Mishnah in Avot delves into the ultimate status of being a Talmid Chacham. But before we get to the ultimate status, we have to understand that it is the ultimate status. It's many people today want to be the Mashiach. Sometimes they even pretend to be one. I have one guy that sent me an email, one of the 3 or 2 from last week. He said, listen, I'm definitely the Mashiach. All I need is you send me a little bit of money. I'll change government. Usually they want money. But anyway, many people want to be kings. Many people think that when Mashiach does come, they're even if they're normal, or at least they think they're normal, and Mashiach comes, they're going to be best friends with him. They could talk to him. They could hang out with him, give him high five, maybe learn a chidush with him. And we try to establish at least a small part of what does it mean to be a king of Am Yisrael. King of Am Yisrael does not have friends, does not have people he just hangs out with. You're not going to give him a high five unless you're his chavruta, because you're a giant gdolado, huge tzaddik, kadosh, full of Torah, you know the entire Torah back and forth. And people simply don't understand that Mashiach is a king, and not just some person that's going to fix your financial problems and health problems and every other mental problem that we have. It's just a common mistake that's being made today, because they've made songs about Mashiach. They made dances about Mashiach. They made all types of things about Mashiach, to the point where we forgot what is actually Mashiach. Even though the Torah talks about what's actually going to happen before Mashiach. How there's going to be major disasters that are not necessarily going to be so exciting. To such an extent that the Gdolim, the giants, said over and over again, I want the Mashiach to come, just not while I'm alive. So if the living Sifrei Torah of Am Yisrael were scared to see Mashiach and what's going to happen before him, it's needless to say that we should be as well. Scared in a sense that a person should be scared into doing tshuva. Not scared in the sense of, oh, I don't want him to come. You have to want him to come, but that means that you have to do something about it. But the point is that to be a king, to be in a position of power, is no picnic. Because the Rambam writes in Ilchot Melachim, I believe it's at the end of chapter 5, that the ultimate purpose of the melech, the ultimate purpose of the king, is to sanctify Hashem's name and bring more Torah to the world. That's the ultimate purpose. That is all the horses, all the wives, all the money, all the weapons, all of that stuff is for the purpose of sanctifying Hashem's name and bringing more Torah to the world. This is the reason why the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says that at one point Hashem decided that Chizkiyahu HaMelech was going to be Mashiach. He decided in Shamayim, he says Chizkiyahu HaMelech, he's going to be Mashiach. Why? Because Chizkiyahu HaMelech took his sword, he was a king, took a sword in front of all of his people, millions and millions of people, stuck it into the ground. He says, whoever doesn't learn Torah is going to get the sword instead. Not sword you're going to hold, you're going to become a soldier. Sword meaning I'm going to chop your head off. Now you guys think I'm exaggerating with the chopping the head off part. Halacha in the Rambam is the only way that the king kills people is by chopping their head off. Unless it's a massive killing. Unless there's a bunch of, Dror Kasutos, Yonatan Levis, Dweck, Goldberg, and all of the Reshaim in the world. Unless he has to kill all of them one day, then he can hang them. And leave them out there for as long as he wants. Not like the rest, the Bedin, when they kill somebody, they have to bury the body the same day. Because it's the creation of Hashem and so on. But the king, above the law. If he kills a bunch of people because they're Reshaim, he can hang them and leave them out there just to bring fear to the people. Bring fear to the people. This is halacha. And the Rambam is halacha in Ilchot Melachim. But if it's a one person, only way allowed to kill is by decapitation. Every single thing has a reason, but the point is, Rabotai Yekarim, is that the king is not a jokester. He's not a regular person. He has to use all of these tools in order to bring more Torah to the world. And Chizkiyahu HaMelech used the tool to the best possible. He said, if you don't learn Torah, I'm going to chop your head off. Not if you don't learn Torah 15 minutes a day like Yaron Reuven is going to say one day. 2,500 years from now. No, if you don't learn Torah all day, go in the kollel, don't leave. Live there. To such an extent that they said in his generation, little kids, little children, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, knew the entire Mishnah by heart. Today, Alvai, 60-year-olds will know half of it by heart. 10% of it by heart. 6-year-old kids knew the Mishnah by heart. The entire Mishnah, the entire oral Torah, they knew by heart. To such an extent. I was looking at the Rambam today, and I don't really think people truly understand what it really means to be the Rambam. This is only 900 years ago. This is not even the generation of Chizkiyahu. This is not even the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu. This is Rambam Kodesh Kodeshim. Moshe ad Moshe lo haya ke Moshe. From Moses to Moses, there was nobody like Moses. But the point is that still, we know that there's every generation is lower than the one before it. But I was looking at the Rambam, and the Mishneh Torah, the Yad Chazakah, the Rambam, what we call the Rambam, he didn't write it with a computer. There was no internet to look stuff up. In fact, there was almost no books either. Because even if there was a book, let's say there was a Gemara, not everybody had an art scroll set sitting in their library collecting dust just because they were able to afford $2,000. Oh no, they wanted to have the cheaper, Hebrew version for $500, and they were just sitting there. Not everybody had such things, such luxury. In fact, most people did not. If you wanted to learn a certain book, you had to go to a rich person's house that had many books, because he had much money, and he made a section of his house into a bet midrash, and he had many books, and you had to go to his house and sleep there for 6 months until you finish the book. You can't like, oh, can I borrow this book? No, it's not a library. You want to learn the book? Sleep here. For how long? Until you finish, or you want to go home. But you had to plead with him to let you in. It's not like, oh yeah, Bo Chabad. Who are you? I mean, usually these rich people that had many books were righteous people, but the point being is that when the Rambam wrote the Mishneh Torah, it wasn't like he had all the books in the world. It wasn't like he had the internet that you could just press 3 or 4 buttons and you can get pretty much anything you want. What's the halacha? Where did it go? Where did it come from? Where's the source? Where's the pasuk? You simply didn't have those things, but yet you see the Rambam writes halachot that even today, 900 years later almost, it's simple language that anyone could understand, but in the most minimal way, meaning the fewest words, but yet the most amount of information. Easy to understand, easy to explain, vast as can possibly be, which Talmidei Chachamim learn actually the Rambam in such a way where they learn why he wrote what he wrote the way he wrote it. Meaning that sometimes he writes and something, and sometimes he just writes something, meaning he used an extra word. Why did he use this extra word? Talmidei Chachamim actually study why he used extra words, or why he spelled a certain word in 2 different ways. It's not a mistake. It's our mistake if we think it's a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's that, you see, calling it genius is an understatement. Today, every Joe that created an app is called a genius. But I was looking at the Rambam, and I was enamored by the fact that, like, how do you retain so much information and is able to write it down in all of these books simply from memory? Simply from memory. I mean, you have to know the entire Torah, like, better than you know the back of your hand. Not like you know the back of your hand, better than you know the back of your hand. This is something that's incomprehensible to us. And one of the best proofs that Torah Israel is divine, that I also thought about at the same time, is the fact that we are the only nation in the world still studying on a regular basis as an obligation what our forefathers wrote 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. There is no other nation like this. No one in the world obligates their people to study the works of somebody that wrote a book 300 years ago. Yeah, there's a few, clever people that want to read Aristotle, or Plato, or they want to read The Art of War, or they want to read Nietzsche, or they want to read all of these different people. They want to read it because they want to feel like, I'm an intellect, I'm a philosopher, I'm the next Michelangelo, I could spell Michelangelo at least. Everybody wants to feel. But in reality, no one knows what they're talking about. Why? They're the only ones studying it in their entire group of class. No one else knows what are you talking about? Who's Nietzsche? What is that, a new Kit Kat bar? It's a new version? Who's that? What is that? It's a club? What, are you going to go drinking tonight? All right, I'll come. No, it's a book. What book? Where's the book? Where'd you get this book? In a library. What's a library? You go to a library, it's empty. There's nothing there. Nothing there. Even the books don't want to be there. The books want to leave. The books had legs that leave. Like nobody's here. I'm leaving. Baruch Hashem, shelo asani goy. Baruch Hashem that He didn't make me a goy, is what a person needs to say every single day, and with an intention to realize that the only way that you have a part of Am Yisrael is not if you were literally born a Jew, but if you're studying the Torah like a Jew. Why? Because that's what really connects us to make us Jews. That's what makes us Jews. There's plenty of people that are born to Jewish mothers, but unfortunately in Shamayim they're not considered Jews. They drive on Shabbat, they're married to Goyim, they eat like Goyim, anything that moves, and sometimes even if it doesn't move, we'll make it move and then eat it. They live like Goyim. And the reality is, Rabotai Karim, is what makes a Jew when he starts to learn on a regular basis Torah Israel that we've been learning for over 3,300 years on a daily basis. That's what makes a Jew a Jew. That is what makes a Jew a Jew. And because we're unique in that aspect. But this is also what puts us in danger on a day-to-day basis from the Goyim. Because Esav sonel Yaakov, even if he doesn't know why. Esav hates Yaakov, even if he doesn't know why. And Esav will do everything and anything possible in every generation throughout all of history to stop Am Yisrael from learning Torah. Why? That is the secret. That's the secret weapon. That's the secret weapon. Am Yisrael learns Torah, that's the secret weapon. Don't learn Torah, you're already killing yourself. And right now, Imach Shema v'zichram, these Goyim, they have a new gzerah which reminds us of what happened a couple of thousand years ago during the time of Chanukah, which in the number one place where the most amount of Jews live in the world outside of Israel is New York. More than any other place. Second to that is California. Then after that, I believe maybe it's Florida. But by far, New York supersedes everyone else. There's the most amount of yeshivot, most amount of Talmidei Chachamim, most religious communities. Of course, there are others that are similar outside of New York and New Jersey that have grown drastically. But the point is, everybody knows New York, there's Jews there. Some say there's over 1 million Russian Jews only. Just Russian Jews, not including everyone else. Admit. I remember when I was in the insurance business, we would do advertising in Russian newspapers for specifically going after Jews because it was insurance for Israel. And many of the customers were Russian Jews. Get 15, 25 phone calls a day just from Russian Jews. The point is that the gzerah that we have right now, Hashem Yerachem Aleinu, and hopefully this gzerah, this decree will be cancelled, just like the decrees were cancelled in previous generations when we were meritorious enough. And the gzerah is that the Hashem put some Esav in power in the education department that decided, this woman decided, she has a very, very Christian Esav name, Marie or Maria. Put her in power in order to torture the Jewish people until they do tshuva. Why? Because she made a law now that's going to go into effect over the next 2.5 months, that starting in February, I believe, every yeshiva is obligated to teach 7 hours of secular non-Torah material. And they're not allowed to increase the hours of study. So let's say, for example, the kid goes to school for 9 hours. Until now, he was learning 9 hours of Torah, and some of it secular studies, some of it Torah, but mostly Torah. Even with that, we still in the yeshivot in New York, they still scored better than any of the public schools that learn nonsense all day. We still scored better in tests. Math tests, science tests, the regents that they have in New York, we still scored better, even though we don't learn secular studies all day. Why? Because it's just simply a better school. Better teaching, better systems. But the point is that this is not acceptable. They want us to learn 7 hours of Torah. 7 hours of secular studies. This is purely from Esav, and it's also by the hand of Hashem. How do we know? It doesn't make any sense. Logically, it doesn't make any sense. And the reason why is because if they wanted us to be like the public school, like the Goyim, they would tell us, listen, we don't want you to learn so much Torah, so learn 5 hours of secular studies and 4 hours of Torah. Why? Because that's what the public school teaches. The public school is 5 hours of secular studies, no Torah. No Torah, meaning you go to public school, you learn 5 hours. Meaning they want the yeshiva, that the whole point of going to yeshiva is to learn Torah, to learn more secular studies than the secular people. This is clearly the hand of Hashem telling us if we don't do tshuva, He's sending us a man. not an exaggeration. It's not Yaron Reuven. It's Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin. It's exactly what happened. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, all of Am Yisrael is going to do tshuva before Mashiach comes. And the Chachamim say, no, but we all know it's not going to happen. We all know there's going to be some people who don't do tshuva. He says, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, if they don't do tshuva, Hashem is going to make them do tshuva. How is he going to make them do tshuva? Well, he's going to tell, please do tshuva, go to shiur, Yaron Reuven is going to teach you Yirat Shamayim. What is he going to do? No shiurim. He's going to send us Haman, Hashem Yirachem. He's going to send us Hitler. Yimach Shemo v'zichro. Even more so at a time like this, when all of the Jews have been celebrating as if Mashiach came because Donald Trump is in office. Oh, Dani is protecting the Jews. His daughter is a Jew. His son-in-law is a Jew. We're in good shape. Shem Yirachem, what shape we're in. We're in the worse shape today than we were when Osama bin Laden was in office. Because even when he was in office, we were still able to educate our kids the way we wanted. Without educating our kids, you have no right to be in this country. You're not allowed to be here. So what's going to happen, Rabotai Kareem, is what people are going to try to do. I'm going to tell you already. I'm not a Navi or the son of a Navi, but I can tell you already what people are going to try to do. First thing they're trying to do is they're trying to gather a bunch of money. Why? They're going to try to sue because they think that lawsuits are going to actually help them. They think that if they sue the government, call Donald Trump, make sure that a few people get greased, then we could change the decree, lower it, renegotiate, extend it. Instead of February, make it June. Instead of June, make it the next year. And that's what they're going to play games, the political games, because they think that's going to help them. They may succeed temporarily, but the decree came from Shamayim. The decree came from Shamayim, it's coming. So all the lawsuits and the millions of dollars they're going to raise are not going to help them. The other people, like the Satmars, that are very wealthy and care less about any government, whether it be Israel or America or anyone in between, they're simply going to continue doing what they're doing, which is their private schools are really private. What does it mean? No funding from the government. We don't care about you. We don't want your money. We have more than you. We don't owe China any money. So you go to Monsey, you go to the schools in Monsey the Satmar, if you're part of Satmar, you go to schools over there, they're not worried at all. Why? We have our own schools. We have our own schools, we don't need the government's money, we don't like their money anyway, thank you very much, but no thank you. But how many of us can do that? Oh, so what's the step number 3? A few rabbis that are zealous and excited about Am Yisrael and the Torah and want to save, they're going to turn into their synagogues, their little synagogues that had 100 members, into a little school during the day. Without the funding of the government, but funding of the Keilah itself. Okay, you want to send your kid to, you can't send him to the school anymore. Why? Because if by February they're going to implement this, any school that doesn't follow the law and teach 7 hours of secular studies is going to get all funding taken away from it, and every single parent is going to get a letter that they have to remove their child from yeshiva. They're going to scare parents into taking the kid out of the yeshiva and sending him to public school. By threatening with all types of things, maybe they're going to take the kids away, to all types of nightmares, where anyone that knows the regulators, when it comes to kids, you don't want to mess with them. They'll take the kids. They have no problems taking people's kids. Many people don't know that in the time of the founding of Israel, the modern state of Israel, the Americans were buying children from Israel. The Zionist, communist terrorists that were in power at the time, which unfortunately were born Jewish, they needed to get some money. So what do? They took a bunch of Yemenite kids and they sold them to Americans. So they could do experiments on them, or maybe adopt them. But most of the time experiments to kill them. Because you can't experiment on an American, because chas v'shalom, you killed the goy. You get sued. No, they don't care about the goy. They care about getting sued. But if no one knows you exist because you came from Israel, that's what they did. They took the kids from Israel, they bought them for a few dollars, and they did all types of experiments. Much of the medicine that they have advanced during those years was because they were the only ones able to do human experiments without anyone knowing it's human experiments. Because the kid doesn't exist. He's not in the system. He's from Israel. This is why these heartless people come to different people. Sometimes you go to, you're in a hospital and you hear parents in a panic. What happened? What happened? You ask them, what happened? Oh, my kid fell. Okay, so a kid fell in a hospital. Yeah, but now they want to take the kid. Why do they want to take your kid? The kid fell. What's the problem? No, the kid fell and they think I beat the kid up. Did you beat him up? No. You look at the kid didn't get beat up. No, but the government came here and they're not really sure whether I beat up the kid or I didn't beat up the kid, and they're telling me that they're going to take my kid away. And then you have to go into a legal battle for who knows how many years to fight for your own kid. This happened to a family in Muncie, actually. A family in Muncie, a Yemenite family, miskinim, poor people, 6 kids they took from them. 6 kids they took from them. There was a whole documentary about it. They documented the parents. Mamash, I cried the whole film. I saw the film. I'm crying the whole time. I'm watching this guy because they're just recording him, just regular. I'm watching the guy and I'm crying, hysterical, looking at this guy. Poor guy. He's trying to get his kids for years. Why? Because some cleaning lady or neighbor dropped one of the kids and the kid ended up dying. So they thought, no, you beat up your kids because we saw that one of your kids had a scratch on his arm and the other kid had a scratch on his leg. So you probably beat up your kids. Well, all kids have scratch on their arms and legs and they play. Shem Hashem. Rabotai Karim, this reminder from Hashem Yitbarach is a reminder that we're not home. Don't get so comfortable. Don't get so comfortable. If the Gzerah from Shamayim came during a presidency that every Jew almost celebrated, at least the righty, normal ones, everyone celebrated it. Oh, Donald Trump is in office. We're in good shape. And then we have a decree like this. Even if it gets canceled, it's definitely a warning shot from Shamayim. We all pray it's going to get canceled. But in reality, it's a warning shot from Shamayim that if we don't do tshuva, Rabotai, we are in serious, serious danger, no different than the Holocaust, no different than Bet HaMikdash, no different than Haman, no different than Nebuchadnezzar, no different. And those didn't start out so well. In the end, we were okay, we survived, but who wants to go through that? To be a king is not a joke. When the Mashiach arrives, he's not going to shake hands with politicians. Hey, how are you? Oh, you're Dani? Okay, Dani. Oh, you're Obami? You're Obami. Oh, you're Netanyahu? You're Netanyahu. How are you? Has everybody let's have dinner? Maybe a coffee? Oh, you know what? Put 2 sugars in that one. People think he's going to be having coffee and dinner with political leaders. The reality is that the Rambam explains in Ilchot Melachim is when Mashiach comes, he's going to run the world. And Eretz Yisrael is going to be extended to the entire world. It's not going to be a tiny little country that you could barely see with the naked eye. The land will expand, we're going to run the whole world. Every Jew that's a Shomer Torah and Mitzvot, worked on his midot, did real tshuva, has nothing to worry about. Why? Once Mashiach comes, for every tzitzit that you wear, you're going to have 2,800 righteous goys working for you, full time, for free. Why? So hopefully you can teach them Torah every day. They're going to run your business, they're going to run your house, they're going to run anything you want. Why? Because you wore tzitzit. 10 from every one of the nations, 70 nations, that's 700, 4 corners of the tzitzit. Chachamim say it's 2,800 goyim for every tzitzit. This also, I Rav Kook from Tveria wears maybe 25, 30 tzitziot. Bemet, he really does. You see him in the videos, he's known to wear anywhere from on a certain day, some it's only 11, 12 tzitziot. On other days, 25 tzitziot. He's this tiny little man, Kodesh Kodeshim, but he's tiny because he fasts constantly. He's constantly fasting. Trying to Hashem Echem, take kaparat avonot for the whole nation. And he wears tzitziot, so you see the tzitziot are almost as heavy as his body. It's unbelievable. Now, after being, after the Mashiach comes, a lot of interesting things are going to happen. We're going to have more shiurim about Mashiach and what's going to happen according to the Rambam and other Chachamim. There's a whole chapter about it in Mishneh Torah. But even the Rambam himself says that there is somebody that's even bigger than the king. Not Mashiach, but the king. Oh, the Talmid Chacham. But before we get to become a Talmid Chacham, there's still some people that they want to be the KoHanim. Want to be a Kohen. Why? I can work in the Bet HaMikdash. Got a set job. Every day there's korbanot. I don't have to worry about money. People have to give me part of their money. I don't have to worry about a home. The nation's obligated to give me, 46 cities. What's the problem? So we're going to learn a little bit about the Kohanim and the Levi tribe, really, and who are they today, Be'emet. So the Mishnah starts off with Gdolat Torah יותר מן הכהונה ומן המלכות, שהמלכות נקנית ב-30 מעלות, והכהונה נקנית ב-24. Torah is even greater than priesthood or royalty, for royalty is acquired along with 30 prerogatives, and priesthood with 24 gifts. 24 gifts. Now, few interesting things about the Kohen. The Taharat HaMayim says that when each Kohen comes into, each Kohen Gadol becomes a Kohen Gadol, the previous one died, the new Kohen Gadol wears the same garments, the same clothing, 8 pieces of clothing, as the previous Kohen. But what's the chidush? Chidush is that sometimes one Kohen is different size than the next Kohen. The Kohen from that died is really tall. The Kohen that's coming into office, tzaddik, but he's short little guy. Not as big. Like for example, Shaul HaMelech, the Torah says, the Tanakh says, he was not only beautiful, but he was the tallest man in the land. Huge, beautiful man. So when David HaMelech came to where they were having a war with the Philistines, no relation to the terrorists of today called Palestinians, and before the battle with Goliath, David told Shaul, okay, I'll go. I want to fight him. Little David. David was little. He wasn't big. So Shaul saw that this is really the only choice, but this kid has some siyata dishmaya with him. So okay, wear my armor. But Shaul HaMelech is huge. He's the tallest man in the land. It's not like he's just tall, maybe 6 foot tall, and David is 5'9", so there's a few inch difference. No, he's the tallest one. Some people don't think that there are Jewish people that are tall. My cousin, his name is Gavriel Guetta. Shichyeh, lives in Israel. When we were kids, they were the biryonim. Him and his brothers, they were the biryonim. They were like the heroes. No one messed with us as little kids because we were related. Now, it's been a long time. They're always big to me, but when you were little, everybody's big to you. When I went to Israel, after many years, I wasn't in Israel, but I went to Israel a few years ago, and I spent time with him. When I first saw him, I realized he's even bigger today than I imagined him when I was little. Ishtabach shemo la'ad, Hashem gave him a gift. He's enormous. Enormous, like Baruch Hashem. Powerful. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I used to have clients that were football players. I'm telling you, he's bigger than some of them. I'm like, maybe he's Mashiach. I was so enamored by him. My wife and I were like, wow, and he's religious, he's got a beard, powerful, and when he talks, you have to listen. You have to listen. Yes, yes, sir. Yes, yes, Rabbi. Yes, yes, yes. And he's, not only that, he knows Torah. He knows Torah, Rabotai. Ooh, wow, he's learning Torah every day for over 25 years, 30 years. After he did Teshuva, everything changed. Tabach Shimon learns Torah. He learns with my other cousin, who's a Talmid Chacham Gadol. Meir is his name, is Rabbi Meir. Also very big, but not as big, but still very, very big person. And but you see some of these people and you feel like a little baby. And there's a picture that we were at a wedding, my brother's wedding. My brother got married in Israel, and there's a picture of me next to Gabi, next to Gabriel. And it looks like I'm his little baby son. Shtabach Shemo. But to me, it's fascinating to see big Jewish people. I've seen many big people. I'm not. It doesn't make a difference to me. But to see big Jewish people, I'm like, that's our warriors. That's what we're supposed to look like. That's what we're supposed to look like. Not these little scrawny ones that barely can. You feel like if the wind comes too strong, you're going to fall over. So anyway, Shaul HaMelech was enormous. Enormous and beautiful and tzaddik. David was tzaddik, kadosh, but small. With gingy hair. They call it red hair today, but it's gingy really. Gingy is not really red. It's more like orange. And one of the best people that I know, also his name is Gavriel. He helps us a lot with KIRUV. He lives in Israel. He's married to my cousin. And he's also gingy. They're special people. They have fire in them. When they're righteous, fire. Shtabach Shemo. Anyway, the Shaul HaMelech is big, David HaMelech is small, but yet Shaul takes off his armor, his huge armor, and puts it on David. Miraculously, the armor shrinks and fits custom made on David HaMelech. Like it was made for him. Everyone was fascinated because they saw it was a living miracle. It's not like only Shaul saw it or David did it on the side. No, it was in front of everybody. Open miracle in front of everyone. Then they realized, this Hashem is here. David was afraid. Afraid of what? Ayin hara. It's like everyone saw this miracle, that means there's no blessing. Take the armor, all I need is a couple of stones that said no armor. No armor. I have my shield here, that's enough. Why? I'm afraid of ayin hara. Ayin hara is very much real for people that understand it. It's very much real and you have to be very, very careful to not give yourself ayin hara. But the point is, Rabotai, is that at the time of the KoHanim, sometimes the next Kohen in line would be smaller. And the Taharat HaMayim says, one of the sages say, that the uniform of the previous Kohen, the bigger Kohen, would miraculously shrink to fit custom made on the new Kohen. Custom made. Yeah, but he was 3 times your size. So, nothing is beyond Hashem. Nothing is beyond Hashem. Another thing about Kohanim that's very interesting is that the Torah tells us that the highest people in the land, as far as yichud, as far as like how we treat them, their status, is the Kohanim. This is what Hashem called, this is my personal legion. This is my personal army. Their responsibility is to learn Torah and teach the people. That's their responsibility. They're not allowed to go to war. They're not allowed to fight. A lot of things they're not allowed to do. Why? They work for me. They're not allowed to be involved in business. All types of rules we're going to go over. Why? Because Hashem calls them my personal legion. So the highest is the Kohen. Second highest are the ones that come from the same family, which is the Levi. The Levi is the second. The third is Israel. Third is Israel, which is everyone else, almost. Almost everyone else. Then there's the Mamzer and others. But this is why when you go to Beit Knesset, the first Aliyah is always a Kohen. Aliyah to the Torah, always a Kohen. Second Aliyah to a Levi. And third aliyah is to rest of the people that are considered Israel, unless they're known to be a Mamzer or something like that. Now if there's no Levi, the Kohen does both. The Kohen has both aliyot. Same concept with the Levi. But here we see that the rest of us are Israel, unless a person is a Mamzer, which is a person that came from a illegal relationship, where it's a result of incest. There was a baby born out of incest. Shem Yachem, a father with his own daughter, a son with his mother, or something like that, or even if it was adultery. Adultery. The woman cheated on a husband but had a baby with a different man. That's adultery. The person is a Mamzer. That person is not allowed to marry a Kohen, not allowed to marry a Levi, not even allowed to marry Israel. Not allowed to even marry Israel. That person can only marry another Mamzer or a convert. The Mamzer is reminded that he's a Mamzer for the rest of his life. To the extent that Hashem wants people to know, I want to wipe them out of the world. I want no memory of these Mamzerim. I don't want them to continue. There's ways to undo it by marrying a convert and another convert and so on and so forth. But naturally, it's almost impossible for the Mamzer to continue their lineage. Almost impossible. The Kohen, complete opposite spectrum. The best of the best. Mamzer, lowest of low. Terrible. Imagine, everywhere you go, it's like, oh yeah, you're the one that your mom cheated on the father, and then you're the father of the other one. Everybody knows your business. It's not like it's a secret. It's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, it's signed to the Biknei. Everyone has to know he's a Mamzer. Why? Can't marry you. Can't marry you. Nightmare of a life. What is the fault of the child? Okay, the parents made a mistake. What is the fault of the child? The answer is, the Arizal explains to us, is that there is no such thing as child. There's no such thing as child. He may be a child in flesh and blood. You see, the kid is only a year old, 2 years old, 5 years old, 20 years old, whatever it is. But the neshama has been here time and time again and made enough sins that they had to come back again to fix something that it didn't fix in the previous reincarnation. And part of its tikkun, part of its mission, is to come back as a mamzer. So there's no such thing, oh, he's just a baby, what did he do? No, 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 he's not a baby, and neither are you. Stop acting like one. He made sins. When? He's only 9 years old. He's only a baby, just born yesterday. Yes, the baby was born yesterday as far as the body, but the neshama was here 3,000 years ago already. He's been making sins for 3,300 years already. He's one of the biggest losers in history. What do you feel bad for him? By the way, all of us are part of this, because we've been here for 3,000 years. Coming back, coming back, coming back, failed, come back, failed, come back, failed. This is also another reason why no one should ever be arrogant about anything. What are you arrogant about? You've been failing for 3,000 years. Even a moron passes the test after the third time. I remember in the securities business and investment business, every time you want to get to a different level, you have to take a test. But the biggest test is the first one. It's called the Series 7. Passing grade is 70. 265 questions. You have to get 70% of them right. What if you get 69.99 right? Failed. Average score? Failed. The average person fails, it's like 62, 63. Many people fail the test once or twice before they eventually pass. But some people are especially stupid. Like I know one person, he must have failed the test maybe 11, 12 times. 11, 12 times. Now it gets to a point after you fail it a certain amount of times, they don't let you take the test for another 6 months. So literally he was in the business for like 8 years before he ever passed the test. You think to yourself, was like, maybe you should pick a different career. Maybe you should go to the zoo and be one of the animals. Your brain is just like theirs. You failed the same test 10 times? Maybe you should be a lion or a monkey. Put some more hair, grow a mustache, beard. You look good as a monkey. I'd come visit you. How you fail the same test 10 times? Okay, once, I understand. Twice, no problem. 5 times even. 10 times? I know it's difficult, but come on, study already, for heaven's sake. Sometimes people tell me they take different tests, whether it's for real estate or for mortgages or for nursing, and they keep failing the test. I'll tell you a secret about tests. I'll tell you a secret of how to pass any test you want. Baruch Hashem, I took plenty of tests. Shtabach Shemo, I did pretty good on them. I used to train my kids, the kids that used to work for me. I call them all kids, even though some of them were 50. Because to me, they were all children. But anyway, I used to train them how to pass the test. And there's a system of how to pass tests. And I can teach you how to pass any test you want. It's called study. Of course, there's a way to study. There's an amount of dedication, time, effort, and so on and so forth. But the secret, the true secret, study. You study, you pass. You failed, that means you didn't study. That's why you failed. No, but I did study. Well, watching the game while you were studying and eating a banana and a sandwich on the side, that's not studying. That's not studying. Studying is, the only thing that's in front of you is the information. That's studying. No, but I like music and TV. I could do it. Oh, that's why you failed. You could do it. You could fail 11 times. You could do it. Your system's really working great. Some people tell me, oh no, I failed my nursing test 8 times. I said, Ishtabach Shimolad, please don't take it. Oh, God only knows who wants nurses like you. You don't even know how to be a nurse 8 times. Don't be a nurse. Do the work. Hashem is giving you a sign. Hashem is giving you a sign. You're going to kill people. You're going to kill people. Don't be a nurse. You failed 8 times. Maybe you should be, I don't know, the needle. Be the needle. Don't be the nurse. Be the cleaning person. Pick a different career. You failed the test 8 times? Okay, once, twice, it happens sometimes, but to some people. But the point is that people need to know, like, if you study, you'll pass. If you're studying and you're not passing, there's something wrong. Pick something else. Do us all a favor. Do yourself a favor. It's also very... very much a difficulty for people to deal with constant failure, that even if you end up passing eventually, it's still not the same. So anyway, how do we even get to this? Anyway, the Kohen, the Levi, the Israel, this is the standard. The Mamzer, loser. He's reminded of this all the time. But there is a way for the biggest loser to be the biggest winner. Only to Torah. There's no other way. If the Mamzer has $100 billion and he gets $10 billion a month in interest, he's still a loser. No one can marry him. Nothing can change. Anyone that marries him, Shem Yachem, they're ruining their own eternity. Sin from the Torah. Bring a lot of disasters, isurim to their life. You can do whatever you want. You're just going to have to pay the bill for it. There is a way for the Mamzer to be Kodesh Kodashim. What is it? If the Mamzer becomes a Talmid Chacham. Mamzer learns Torah day and night, toils and toils and toils, and constantly tries more and sleeps less and less materialism, and fixes his midot and fixes his character traits and works on himself and studies more and more and more and eventually becomes a Talmid Chacham, that Mamzer, in according to the Torah, is considered in the same status as a Kohen Gadol who doesn't know Torah. He's a Kohen Gadol, but he doesn't know Torah. He's Amaret. He's ignorant. He knows basics. He knows how to be a Jew. He knows that there's Sukkot. He knows that there's kosher. He's not like a completely a monkey, but he's not Talmid Chacham. Today, for the most part, Am Haaretz definition is very different. The true definition of Am Haaretz is someone who knows mitzvot, but is not precise and not careful with certain things. He's not careful with kashrut. He's not careful with certain things in regards to purity, but he knows Torah. Today, Am Haaretz means something different. Today, Am Haaretz means somebody that's completely ignorant. Doesn't know anything, a bull. But in those days, Am Haaretz meant there was somebody he knew. Chanukah, Sukkot, all that. He knew all the basic stuff like regular people. But he wasn't a Talmid Chacham. If the Kohen Gadol, the biggest Kohen in the world, is not a Talmid Chacham, the Mamzer is considered bigger than him. That's how powerful Torah is. That it could literally elevate the biggest loser and turn him into the biggest winner. Now if the Kohen Gadol is a Talmid Chacham, fine. The Mamzer is one level below him. Still huge. You're number 2. Halvaya limit to be number 5. Something. So the point is, Rabotai, is that we see that the power of Torah has literally no end. No end of how much it could elevate a person. Where unlike the Malchut, that is hereditary, and the kinghood that's hereditary, and the priesthood, the Kehunah, that's also hereditary. The father always has to be a Kohen too. Talmid Chacham does not have to be hereditary. In fact, many times it's not. Many times it's not, but still a person that dedicates themselves to do it and do it right can get to be a higher level than even the king or the Kohen Gadol. Now what does it mean to be a Kohen if you're already a Kohen? First, we're going to go over some of the things of what are these gifts. What are these 24 gifts that the Kohen gets? The source for this is the first part I'm going to tell you is according to Rashi in Machzor Vitri. This is both in Gemara Masechet Chulin, page 133b, and also Bava Kama 110b. So the gifts that the Torah confers upon the KoHanim are as follows. First, animal that is brought as a chatat, that's a sin offering. Someone made a sin. He has to bring a korban. It's called korban chatat. They give it to the Kohen. Second, someone that made a bird, that's also a sin offering, but is instead of an animal, it's a bird. Also you have to bring it to the Kohen. 3, an Asham offering, which is a guilt offering, which we'll talk about later. What's the difference between a sin offering and a guilt offering? They kind of sound the same. Also has to be given to the Kohen. Meaning that you have all this meat, delicious meat coming to you, free. Why? Because your father was a Kohen, and you're a Kohen. The Asham offering that's is brought in cases of doubt. Source of it is Leviticus chapter 5, verses 17 and 18, which B'ezrat Hashem will go over in a little while. 5th is communal shlamim offering. It's another type of korban. The log of oil that's brought along with the meal offering for a mitzorah. When somebody has tzarat, their korban that they have to bring, there has to be oil and a meal offering. So this is part of the tzarat, the holy. This all is gifted to the Kohen. The remainder of the omer, which is after the portion of the mishkan, the altar's portion, is the kometz is removed. The rest is given to the Kohen. The 2 loaves offered on Shavuot, 2 loaves of bread. The showbread. Showbread is the bread that was a miraculous bread that they would make. These bread that was kosher for Pesach, but was fluffy like a cake, fluffy like a challah. And this bread would sit at the Bet HaMikdash for an entire week. No one would touch it. From Friday to Friday. And then after Friday, they would take it. They would take it and eat it. And they would replace it with a new one. So what about if you keep a bread for a day today, you keep bread outside for a day, it goes bad. The bread of the show offering not only didn't go bad, it stayed warm like it just came out of the oven until you took it out on Friday again, a week later. It stayed warm for a week. It stayed warm like it just came out of the oven. Miraculously. So the showbread is given to the KoHanim. The remainder of all the menachot. Then there's also the bechol, the firstborn animal, which is offered in the temple. Anytime somebody had an animal, an animal gave birth, the first animal goes to the Kohen. Unless that animal has some type of defect. The bikurim, which is the first fruits. You grow fruits, first season of fruits goes to the Kohen. Not allowed to give it to yourself. The breast and the hind legs of the Todah, the Thanksgiving offering. And also the 4 and 40 breads that are offered with it. Parts of the ram offered by the Nazir. When the Nazir would finish his own self-sacrifice of being a Nazir, not cutting his hair, not drinking alcohol, and so on and so forth. It wouldn't be permanently for their whole life. Usually it would be for a month, 2 months, or whatever it was. After they would finish, they would have to bring a korban. And this would be given to the Kohen. Along with the bread and the wafer from the offering, the hides of the offering, all of the leather coming from offerings. I mean, you can imagine every day there are thousands and thousands of sacrifices. You could build factories from all the leather jackets, leather houses, leather floors, leather you, leather me, everything is leather. Where's it going? The Kohen. They also received the following 10 items, which is the Truma, which is approximately 1/50th of the crops. So the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, I believe, says that, why does it say approximately 1/50th? Because they had a choice. They had a choice to give either 1 out of 60, 1 out of 50, 1 out of 40. And they called it, if it was 1 out of 60, which is the lowest amount that you would give to the Kohen, that's called Ein Ra'ah. That means you are counting their money. You don't want to you don't make the Kohen rich. So you're giving them basic minimum just to get by. B'di'avad. Just to get by. You're doing the basic minimum. Like some people ask me, like, Rabbi, how much tzedakah do I have to give? I said, you mean maaser or tzedakah? He goes, no, the tzedakah, I don't give maaser yet. I said, well, tzedakah, you have to give a pruta. Every Jew, doesn't matter if he's poor or rich, has to give a pruta. What's a pruta? It's like $1, $2. Oh, okay, I did that already. I said, oh, chazaku baruch. Chazaku baruch. I'm sure the homeless person can eat a Snickers bar with your $2. You think you're going to Gan Eden with your $2. That's called Ein Ra'ah. Why? Some people don't like to give tzedakah because they're worried that everybody else is going to get rich. Or they're worried that they don't have enough. In reality, the more you give, the more you have. This is against human logic, but this is reality. This is the life of a Jew. If you don't believe such a thing, then you have to work on being Tamim Tiyem Hashem. Being complete with Hashem, meaning believe all of His Torah, even if it doesn't make logical sense. 1/50th is the second level, but the best level is called 1 out of 40, 1/40th. Why 1/40th? Because this is called Ein Tovah. This means that a person is giving the most amount that he's allowed legally to the Kohen. He's not allowed to give more. You give more, but it's not the same thing. It's a tzedakah, it's something else. But this specific Truma is 1 out of 40. 1 out of 40, it says Ein Tovah. It says you're not counting the money that's in his pocket. You're not asking him for tzedakah. You're giving him. Sometimes you have people, at least once or twice a week, people send me campaigns. Oh, Rabbi, how are you? Yeah, I got one today actually, about 3 hours ago. Oh, Rabbi, how are you? Listen, if you could do me a favor, we have a campaign for such and such yeshiva, for such and such school, for such and such trip. Can you please donate? At least twice a week I get one of these. At least twice a week. I don't know what people think, but I don't know. If I was looking for money, the last place I would look for money from is from a rabbi. Last place I would look for is from a rabbi. Now, thank God people think I'm still rich. Shtabach Shemo, we're rich, but in mitzvot. But for some reason, people think that we have like millions of dollars like in the bank, and I can't wait for tzedakah opportunities to give for the people I don't even know. Now, Shtabach Shemo, most of what we have and we give. But to start just donating to campaigns that everybody starts a campaign every week, I don't understand the mentality. Anyway, Rabotai, is that person that gives to the people that are needy, it's called Ayin Tovah. You should also know that anytime somebody comes to you that really is needy, not a campaign that's looking for $3 million and maybe you'll donate $100 out of it. I'm talking about somebody shows up and says, listen, I need tzedakah, they throw out my kids out of school. Don't make them beg, give them. Give them money, give them something. You have to give. You have to give. If you don't give, it's no good. It's no good. So, Baruch Hashem, we give, Baruch Hashem, as often as we possibly can. But it just makes me laugh sometimes that people come to me for these campaigns. Because if it's a person, like the people come to my house all the time, Baruch Hashem, to ask for tzedakah, for yeshiva, for whatever, for all types of needs. And we help, Baruch Hashem, Avrechim every month. We have anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 a month going to Israel, to the Avrechim that we know, to help their life as much as we possibly can. Shtabach Shemo. And this is where all, this is, KIRUV is not just CDs. There's a lot that goes into it that people don't know. Anyway, but the point is that Hashem, if you like to give tzedakah, Hashem gives you opportunities to give tzedakah, but you have to make sure that you calculate. Now, if let's say somebody comes to my house, they knock on the door, yes, I need the money tzedakah, no problem, I'll give. Whatever I have, I'll give. But if it's a campaign for $1 million, more times than not, I'm not going to give. Why? There's plenty of people that want to give to those things. You don't need my $100. You don't even need my $500. Why? Because if you have the ability to raise $1 million in 24 hours, pretty much you're going to get it. My $500 is not needed here. It's needed somewhere else. It's also why I tell people all the time. People always tell me they donate a lot of money to their synagogues, to the local Chabad, to the Red Cross sometimes, Hashem Yachem, to the local zoo, to every big organization in the world that already has plenty of money, they donate there. This is a mistake. This is a mistake. Why? You have to donate to the organization that has the most amount of results. Results are not defined by buildings. Results are not defined by trips to Israel. Results are defined by making people closer to Hashem. That's what results are. So, this is what you have to consider. But anyway, it's even if the organization has a lot of money, but they're getting results, donate to them. But if it's a big organization, you have no idea what they do with the money, then obviously why are you still even in contact with them, let alone donate to them? Next is the Truma taken by the Levites from the Masser to receive, even though the Leviim, they themselves live off of tzedakah, they themselves live off of money from the people. They're also obligated to give a maaser, to give to the truma, to a piece of it to the Kohanim. The challah from the dough, the first shearing of wool, first time they take off the wool off of the sheep, first round has to go to the Kohanim. As you can imagine, these Kohanim were very, very wealthy. You have millions of people. Most of them are shepherds. Most of them are farmers. Most of them have sheep and so on. All of them have to give you wool every day. You pretty much have a factory. But still, they weren't allowed to be in business on a regular basis. So the way they managed some of this stuff was very, very interesting. The right foreleg, jaws, and maw of the ox, sheep or goat being slaughtered for a non-sacrificial purpose. The money offered in the redemption of the firstborn, pidyon habin. Someone has a firstborn that's a boy, they have to give silver coins to a Kohen even until this day. Even until this day. The money offered to the redemption of the firstborn, the sheep offered in redemption of the first issue donkey. Technically, you're supposed to give the first donkey, but since we don't use the donkeys, they give the sheep instead. The Zdei Achuzah, the ancestral field, which was not redeemed by the owner before the Jubilee year. The Zdei Cherem, a field which was consecrated for the benefit of the KoHanim. Somebody had this field taken away from him for one reason or another. This is given to the KoHanim. And last but not least, property stolen from a convert who dies before it's returned to him. If he has no living relatives, it's given to the KoHanim. Why should the convert's property that was stolen from him be given to the Kohen? Why shouldn't it be given to somebody else? Why should it be given away? Why? Now, if the convert has no relatives, it has to go somewhere. Who's going to go to? To the most righteous people out there, to the Kohanim who don't work regular jobs and so on. But this actually, Rabotai, is also one of the proofs that the Torah is not politically correct. In fact, it's the opposite. But yet, it is very, very careful with the way it treats the converts. So when the Rambam writes in Mishneh Torah that when a convert converts, he's considered a brand new baby. It's considered like a newborn. It's considered like a newborn. He wasn't saying this to compliment the converts. He was saying this because that's the law. It's a reality. It has nothing to do with complimenting them, even though it's good to compliment them and help them and so on. It has nothing to do with it. He's saying they're a brand new baby because they literally have a brand new neshama, and they're considered at that point 0 years old. They are not allowed to celebrate their old birthday when they were a goy because they're not connected to that person. In fact, this is one of the sources that shows it. Why should the convert, someone stole his property, but before the property was returned to him to trial and they proved that it's really his, he died already. For whatever reason he died. So that property goes to the Kohen. But what about if this convert has kids from the time he was a goy? So they're his kids, right? No, they're not his kids. According to the Torah, when a convert converts, he's a brand new baby. Meaning, to such an extent that his kids from the time before he converted are no longer considered his kids. No longer considered his her kids. Spiritually speaking. Physically, obviously, they still are. So that's why they still have to take care of them. Still have to pay child support and things of that nature. But in reality, since the convert is considered a baby, this is why sometimes when you see people that have older kids that want to convert, they have to make sure that the kids want to convert even without the parents. Why? Because technically, according to halacha, even though we don't psak like it anymore, according to halacha, the child, if the child, for example, is let's say 15, 16 years old, and he wants to convert, and the mom is, let's say she's 36 years old. She had the kid when she was 20, the kid is 16. They both want to convert. They both saw a few shiurim, got their neshama woken up, they want to convert. Baruch haba, Baruch Hashem, thank you very much, convert. Thank you. Now, they're both considered brand new neshamot, which means they're no longer spiritually related, which according to the Torah, they're actually allowed to get married. Now, why don't we do it anymore? Why don't we do it? Why do we never do it? Because the goyim would never understand this law, and they would think that we're psychopaths. Like, look at this, these Jewish people, they marry their own kids. So we don't do it. But technically, according to Hashem, allowed. Allowed. But because the rabbi saw that it's going to be frowned upon by the goyim that could cause a chilul Hashem, it's not done. But this is a proof to show that seriously, when it comes down to it, allowed. I had a case of a very interesting case where there was two people that converted, and male and female, father and a daughter. Daughter, by the time I spoke to her, was maybe 20 years old, and the father was young, maybe 36, 37, young. He had a kid when he was really young. And they still lived together, they still were, everything was okay, everything was great, but unfortunately the kid had a very, very troubled past and had very serious repercussions out of it. And she was scared to even meet any man, to get married and so on. Scared to meet anyone, scared to talk to anyone. She would still live in the father's house. She didn't want to leave. And we had to ask Rabbi Ephraim. I'm like, so what should we do with this girl? I mean, she has to get married, she has to move out, she has to do stuff. They can't live together. Even though biologically it's allowed, it's not allowed. So what do? He said, ask them if where they live, everybody knows them. If everybody knows them. I said, why? He says, if nobody knows them, they're allowed to get married. If nobody knows who they are, nobody knows their past, nobody knows their father and daughter and so on, allowed to get married, she doesn't have to move out. Limit, to that extent. Now obviously, today's generation, they think of something like this, they start vomiting because they don't understand what they did when they converted. But this is to show you what the Torah is saying. When you convert, you become a new human being. You may look the same in the beginning. Give it time, you'll change. Give it time. But this is also why when there's a family, older kids and so on, you have to be very, very careful. Especially, with few kids that are teenagers, everybody's converting or something like that. It's a problem. It's a problem because technically they're not allowed to be next to each other, sleep in the same room anymore. If it's a boy and a girl or two boys and a girl and so on, it can become a very serious problem. So this, again, the tikkun of conversion continues. It's not easy to convert. It's not easy to convert, but according to the Torah, we see why. It's not going against them, chas v'shalom. It's actually a praise of them, that they're literally considered brand new neshamot. Imagine you have a brand new neshama, you're 35 years old. All the sins you made for 35 years are irrelevant. Worshipped idols, went with married woman, married man, married dog, whatever. You did all the garbage in the world. Now you became a kosher Jew, clean. You're 35 years old. Who's better than you? Wish I had a brand new neshama. No sins. Anyway, now according to the chidah, the 24 things that are special laws that apply to the Kohanim are slightly different. He says, different than Rashi. He says first, they must conduct themselves with holiness. Mikveh, speech, eyes, hands, everything have to be constant holiness. Please stop playing with your phone. It's bothering me. Please shut off the phone. Put it in your pocket. Second, aside from conducting themselves in holiness, they have to also be pure. This means that wasting seed and being one of these roosters, a new girlfriend every week, absolutely forbidden. They also wear linen clothing for honor and beauty. You have to look good. You can't walk around with sweatpants and a t-shirt. You're a Kohen, you have to look it all the time. They trim their hair and beard every 30 days. You have to get a haircut every 30 days, and you have to be groomed. So if you're a Chabadnik, you may have a problem. No, bemet. Why? Because Chabad has this minhag, they don't groom their beards. This would be a problem if they were in Kohen. Because Kohen has to groom himself. The Kohen Gadol, on the other hand, has to do it every week, every 7 days. Every week. They must also not defile themselves for the dead. Somebody dies, you can't go to the grave. You can't go to the grave, cry with them, can't do it. Why? You're Kohen. You can't become Tameh. Chida continues, he says that they also are not allowed to shave their heads bald. All these little Mr. Cleans that we have today, a bunch of guys like to shave their head bald today. For some reason, anyone gets a bald spot, they figure out that, you know what, I don't want a bald spot, I'm just going to shave my entire head. First of all, this is not allowed. According to the Torah, it's not allowed to shave your head zero. It's not allowed, it's a minhag goyim, and it's also, there's a isur from the Torah itself, when you shave the sides of your head, it's a isur from the Torah. It's a biblical sin. It's like eating pig every second that you have this haircut. Not allowed to shave your head bald. If you go bald naturally, it's a different story. But to shave your head bald, 0 or even number 1, not allowed. It's supposed to be number 2. Number 2 has to be a certain amount of hair to stay. You see that the root wasn't killed. With number 1, even though it's number 1, it's really close, the number 1 shaver still kills part of the root. It's not all the same length, it still kills part of the root according to Chachamim. So number 2 is what the Chachamim said in this generation, that is the safe choice. That's the shortest haircut that you can have. But anyone that shaves their head with a razor or even with something that's really, really clean shaven, want to look really clean, really crisp, really goyish, not allowed. Not allowed. KoHanim, even more so. Anyone that has a bald spot, all they need to do is get a bigger kippah. That's it. It's Hashem telling you, I want a bigger kippah. If you have a big kippah, you don't have to worry about bald spots. Because no one's going to see them other than the kippah. And the kippah is not going to say anything, I promise. Won't tell on you. They also cannot shave off the corners of their beard. Can't be one of these clean-cut people. Can't be one of these clean-cut people. They have to have a beard. They're not to cut their flesh. They're not permitted to marry a harlot. Now this is a very interesting one. Who's a harlot? What do you think? Some people think, a harlot is a woman that gets paid to be intimate with a stranger. Yes, that's a professional harlot that gets paid. But there are many harlots that don't get paid, but they're still considered harlots. Why? Because they're promiscuous. A promiscuous woman is considered a harlot. A Jewish woman that was intimate with a goy is considered a harlot. She will not be allowed to marry a Kohen. A woman who is profaned, born from a marriage that was prohibited. Meaning a man married a woman that's not allowed to him. Whether it be incest or it be an adultery or some other thing. He's not allowed to be with such a woman. If she's the child of this marriage. Or he's not also allowed to marry a woman who's divorced. Kohen is not allowed to marry a divorcee. Many people have a problem with this. He's also not allowed to marry a convert. Furthermore, they're unfit to serve. The Kohen also, not only is he have all these conditions, but also there are certain things that if he has them, if he has these few flaws, even if everything else is right, he's holy, he knows the entire Torah by heart, he has the nicest beard in town, he's good, he has nice clothes, everything's good. But if he has one of these defects that I'm about to tell you, still not allowed to be Kohen. Which are defects that are beyond his control. What are they? If he has any blemish, he has a birthmark. His birthmark on his arm. Not allowed to be a Kohen. Yeah, but it's not his fault he has a birthmark. He was born with it. So, Hashem decided, you're going to be a Kohen, but your punishment is you can't be a Kohen. It's, again, like I said, it's a punishment from the previous generation. Previous reincarnation. If he's blind, he cannot be a Kohen. If he's lame, if he has a sunken nose, some people have sunken faces, their nose is inside. If one of his arms or legs is longer than the other, meaning that you can't just be a Kohen, just anybody. You have to be literally a perfect species. Perfect specimen, actually. If one of the arms is longer than the other, one leg is longer than the other, can't be Kohen. If he has like a hunchback or anything like that, can't be a Kohen. If he has a broken arm, can't be a Kohen. Broken leg, can't be a Kohen. If he has thick eyebrows, can't be a Kohen. He has one of these unibrows that goes from here and ends at the end of the Geulah over here. Can't be a Kohen. Why? He's too ugly. Not allowed to be an ugly Kohen. Man, I'm serious.
What if he shaves some of his eyebrows?
Not allowed. Not allowed. Why? Hashem made him this way. He says the punishment is, you're going to be a Kohen, but you can't be a Kohen. Better off not to be born a Kohen. But that's the point. Hashem runs the world. That's how we know Hashem runs the world, because these laws are not logical. If he has cataracts, can't be a Kohen. Or if he's cross-eyed, disarrangement of eyes. He has one eye in left field, one eye in right field, can't be a Kohen. Might be the nicest person in the world. I know one kid, sweetheart of a kid. But it's hard to look at him. Why? Because one eye is over here and one eye is looking at you, and you're not really sure where he's looking. And it's difficult. I'm not trying to make fun of it. It's very difficult. You never want to make fun of such a thing, but it's very difficult to look at the person. Why? Because you're not really sure. It's uncomfortable until you get used to it. But you should never ever make fun of such people, because then you can get punished. Midah keneged midah. You can have a kid like this. You can have a kid like this. I'm serious. You should be very, very careful. You should do tshuva for laughing about stuff like this. But the point is, it is, even though you don't want to make fun of it, it's still difficult to look at. Even if you're his father, even if you're his mother, it's still difficult to look at. It's difficult to, but why? Because we're used to something. We're used to something. Anyone that says, no, it doesn't bother me, you're a liar. You see somebody that can't walk, it bothers you. You see somebody that's missing an arm, it bothers you. You see somebody that's his eye is over here, it bothers you. You see somebody that's missing an eye, it bothers you. It bothers you. Why? Because it's not normal. But how should you treat it? If you can't laugh at it, Baruch Hashem, okay, we're not laughing. We're not terrible people. What should you do? You should thank Hashem that you're not him. But also, you should find good things about him. Good things about him. Say, you know what? Look at him. He's missing an arm, but he probably does more work than me. Look at him. He can't even see, but he probably has a better memory than me. Look at him. He can't walk, but he probably goes to shul more often than me. I saw a video that I'm telling you, no one in the world has a right to complain. No one in the world has a right to complain. I don't care if you're living in pain all day, you have no right to complain. There's one guy, I think he's from India or some other country. I saw this video the other day. I couldn't take it. Mamash, I saw it. I couldn't take it. He had some type of disease to the point where the only thing that's working in his body is his eyes and one finger. That's it. The whole body. Only thing that's working is eyes. Move his eyes. You move his head a little bit. And finger. Rest of his body, waste. He wrote 3 books. He wrote 3 books with one finger. He wrote 3 books. Who cares what the books are about? The books might as well be cartoons. Who cares? But they're actually real books for the goyim. But he wrote 3 books with one finger. And I bet you he's happier than most people in the world. We complain, oh, I don't have enough money to get a bigger house. Right? Oh, I have a headache. I don't know if I'm going to come to the shiur. Headache, take an Advil, buddy. Do I have to feed it you with Advil also? Oh, I'm stressed out. Why? I'm not really sure, but I'm stressed. Get a lollipop. Drink cold water. Smash your head against the wall a few times. They'll get over it. Eventually something's going to work. There's people with one finger that are managing. One finger. There's one guy that's actually a motivational speaker. He has no arms and he has no legs. He makes millions of dollars speaking to people about being happy. Unfortunately, he's a Christian and he teaches them about Christianity at the end. But the point is, it's actually very inspiring to see that someone has like everything is against him. He has no arms, he has no legs, he has mamash. It's like a very strange thing to look at. But he's fulfilled, he's got a wife, he's got kids. He's got kids. And he's teaching people about happiness. We have no right to complain, Rabotai. We have no right to complain. Anyway, somebody has scabs, somebody has scurvy, somebody has crushed testicles. These are the conditions that the Torah itself says, the chidush says here. Torah mentioned about KoHanim. Somebody has one of these conditions, they're not allowed to be a Kohen. So these are all personal defects for the most part that really have nothing to do with the person per se, but nonetheless still make their kehuna null and void. Null and void. Cannot practice their kehuna. Other things that make the kehuna null and void is if the Kohen marries, if he violates them. So for example, when I was in Boca Raton, one of the tragedies that I found out about was that the Sephardi part of the shul has usually the same Baal Kohen. This is important to actually make this public. This is not Lashon Hara, so you know. It's not Lashon Hara. This is verifiable. I even have a letter back and forth from arguing with the rabbi for Shem Yachem, that we even had to argue about this. And you can go there now, you're probably still doing it. For years, they had a person that was not only doing Birkat HaKohanim, but he was also a very common, at least twice a month, meaning, on Shabbat, at least twice a month, he was the Baal Koreh, meaning he was the one reading from the Torah for the entire Keilah. He was reading for the entire Keilah. And I found out, of course all these things come to me, Baruch Hashem, found out this person is married to a convert. I said, if he's married to a convert, you're not allowed to have him as Baal Koreh. You're not allowed to have him give Birkat Kohanim. He's going against the Torah. He's not allowed. He's a Kohen. He's not allowed to marry a convert. Not allowed to marry a convert. Then we found out a little bit more. Not only she's not a convert, and not only does the rabbi know, she's a Goya. She's not even convert. She didn't convert at all. He's married to a Goya. The rabbis know. And they're still letting them read the Torah for the entire Keilah. I went to the rabbi, Shabtai Tzvi his name is. His name is Shabtai, but I call him Shabtai Tzvi, fake Mashiach. And no, this is the guy that used to take my CDs and throw them in the garbage. And why? Because Chas v'Shalom people would do tshuva. Chas v'Shalom, don't do tshuva. Don't do tshuva. So anyway, the Shabtai Tzvi, I told him, listen, I don't know if you know, but not only he's not allowed to, he's married to a Goya. You can't even count him for minyan. Kal v'chomer, you can't have him give Birkat Kohanim to everybody. Kal v'chomer shel kal v'chomer, that he can't be the Baal Koreh, that everybody else is fulfilling the mitzvah of reading from a Torah on Shabbat, from this Toivat Hashem, from this person. Oh yeah, we know. That was the shock of my life. I was hoping he said, no, we didn't know. Wow, chidush, let me find out. He tells me he knows. I said, are you serious? You know this? You can't have him. Oh yeah, we don't want to embarrass him. He's been doing it for many years. I said, what embarrass him? You're making the entire Keilah make sins. As soon, according to Halacha, Rabotai, Halacha, as soon as they open a Sefer Torah, he's over there, or Birkat Kohanim, he's about to read, or he's giving Birkat Kohanim, you have to leave the room. You cannot listen to him reading from the Torah. You have to leave the room. Tell this to a rabbi. The rabbi of the Keilah. No, yeah, let me talk to Goldberg. I didn't know Goldberg was a bigger kofar then. I thought Goldberg was a real rabbi at that point. Yeah, let me talk to him. Time passed, wasting time. I see the guy. I have to keep leaving shul in the middle of tefillah every week. I can't believe this. It's annoying. So we wrote a whole letter. Rabbi Ephraim wrote a whole halachic letter, bringing like maybe 50 sources of why it's not only not allowed, it's a sin, machtia rabi, making the public sin. Maybe they know, maybe they don't know, it doesn't make a difference. Point is, we had to fight for like 4 months. 4 months to get the rabbi to finally tell the guy you're not allowed to read anymore. 4 months you have to argue. He's been reading for years. I believe he's back, by the way. Somebody told me that he's back. He's reading again. Why? Because they realized they want to bring, if they could bring the Pope to give them a speech, why not bring a Kohen that's married to a Goya? What's the problem? It's the same thing for them. Reform. Like they call themselves modern Orthodox. Not all modern Orthodox are like this, but the point is that once you start calling yourself modern Orthodox, that means that you are decided to actively change the Torah. You decide to actively change the Torah, and once you start changing one small thing, the next generation will change something bigger, the next generation will change something bigger, the next thing you know, you're allowing intermarriage, and you're making the guy a chazan. Reading from the Torah. So, Rabotai, you have to publicize these things because you have to make people know what they're dealing with. You have to let people know what they're dealing with. Because just because somebody has a beard or they call themselves rabbi or they have some certificates on the wall, it doesn't mean anything. Without Yirat Shamayim, you're not even allowed to be a water boy in Am Yisrael. You can't even walk with water to give the KoHanim water, the king water, if you don't have Yirat Shamayim. Why? A Jew that doesn't have Yirat Shamayim, you're not allowed to be in a closed room with him. Gemara says it. Gemara says, if you are in a room, it's a closed room, and the person that's with you doesn't have Yirat Shamayim, you have to leave. Why? He may kill you. Where do we learn it from? Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu said, oh, I saw in this place, there's no Yirat Shamayim, so they're going to kill me over my wife. They're going to kill me over my wife because there's no Yirat Shamayim. No Yirat Shamayim, who knows? You make new laws. So here we see that a person can't just be a fill in the spot. He has to have certain qualities, both physically and spiritually. Both physically and spiritually. Now, part of it is under his control. Part of it is not. Part of it is not. Last thing in regards to the Kohen, or next thing really, is the Rambam in Ilchot Shemitah v'Yovel, chapter 13, the first halacha, it's the last chapter in Ilchot Shemitah and Yovel. It says that although the tribe of Levi does not have an ancestral portion in Eretz Yisrael, the Jewish people were commanded to give them cities to dwell in and residential property. The cities include the 6 cities of refuge and the 42, I said 46 before, it's 42 additional cities. So it's a total of 48 cities. When the cities of refuge will be added in the era of Mashiach, all will be given to the Levites. This, Rabotai, is actually the source for all of the people that don't think that Mashiach is part of Judaism. There are some Jews that believe that Mashiach is not a necessity for Am Yisrael. The Rambam actually says in this halacha, here we learn that the Mashiach has to come. Why? Because in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 19, the Torah commands the Jewish people to set aside 3 cities of refuge of a portion of Eretz Yisrael, west of the Jordan, and 3 Transjordans, a total of 6 cities. It then continues in verse number 8 and 9 to say the following. When God will expand your borders, you must add 3 more cities. So in Ilchot Melachim, chapter 11, halacha number 2, the Rambam refers to this specific verse to say that this is the proof that the Mashiach has to come. Why? Because this commandment of Hashem, expanding our borders, and us having to add 3 more cities to give to the Levites, was never fulfilled. He never expanded Israel. We were never able to fulfill the mitzvah of adding 3 more cities. Now, of course, we know Hashem is not going to give a commandment in vain for no reason. Oh, by the way, you guys should do X, Y, Z, and we can't do it. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, but we can't now bring korbanot because we don't have Bet HaMikdash. That's not the same thing. Why? It's Bet HaMikdash. If the Bet HaMikdash was here, immediately all of us tomorrow have to go to Bet HaMikdash, bring korbanot for all the sins we made and all the problems we made and all that stuff. All of us have to immediately get some cows. Yalla. On Sheridan, there's a nice farm full of cows. I see it every Friday when I go to the store. Nice farm of cows. They all look healthy. Bring one of them with you. Go to Bet HaMikdash. Go to Bet HaMikdash before you kill it. Let them kill it at the Bet HaMikdash. But we can't do it now because there's no Bet HaMikdash. That means you're anus. It's not that you're not allowed to do it and that you can't do it. It has nothing to do with it. It's that it's not possible to do it. But the mitzvah of Hashem expanding our borders, actually fulfilling that prophecy and us fulfilling the mitzvah of adding 3 more cities, that we were never able to do it because Hashem never expanded the land. And the Rambam says this is the source of the ultimate coming of the Mashiach. Ultimately, there will be an era of Mashiach when this commandment will be fulfilled and these cities will be separated. Ilchot Rotzeach, chapter 8, Halakha, or Perek 8, Halakha number 2 to 4, 9 and 10. So here we see, again, even from the Halachot, you can learn many things about everything you want. Now that we see that to be a Mashiach is not such a walk in the park, to be Kohen is also not a walk in the park. Not easy. The question is, why did somebody merit to be born a Kohen? Isn't it not fair that his father is the son of a Kohen, is the son of a Kohen, is the son of a Kohen, all the way to Aaron Kohen? Isn't it unfair that his great-great-great-great-grandfather is Aaron Kohen and your grandfather is Tzaddik, but he's not Aaron Kohen? Isn't it unfair? Chafetz Chaim, alav Shalom, was a Kohen. And there's a story I heard from Rabbi Yaron twice, and each time it fascinates me. It fascinates me. Because it shows you the chokhmah of the Chachamim, and how they talk, sometimes out of their character, in order to get the point across. Chafetz Chaim was Kodesh Kodashim. Chafetz Chaim, Kol Kulo Torah. Kol Kulo Torah. Just Torah, 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 Torah. Worked on his midot, taught MUSSAR, Mezakeh Rabim, Kol Kulo Torah. But one day he took one of his students, and he says to the student, he goes, you know I'm a Kohen, right? Student knows his Rabbi. He says, yes, Kvod Rav. But you know, I'm a Kohen. Yeah, Kvod Rav, I know you're a Kohen. But you realize that if the Bet HaMikdash was built right now, I would actually work in the Bet HaMikdash. They would pick me. They wouldn't pick you. I would be in the Bet HaMikdash. It's a little uncomfortable. What happened to the Chafetz Chaim? Became Baal Gava, became egotistical, arrogant, Chas v'shalom. So the Talmud is like sitting there. He wants to like make the ground swallow him. Maybe it's because on one hand it's embarrassing to him, on the other hand he doesn't know what to do with himself. But Chafetz Chaim pushes more. You know, the Bet HaMikdash, they can have a menorah. They have the menorah. They may let me light it. Like me, they're going to let me light it, maybe. And also the korbanot, they may actually allow me to bring korban. They're going to let me do it, not you. I can do it. I'm a Kohen. The student doesn't know what to do with himself. but you know that my father was a Kohen, and my grandfather was a Kohen. Great-grandfather was a Kohen. All the way to Aaron a Kohen. Makes me a Kohen. Still, you can hear the silence. He doesn't know what to do with himself. So he says to him, do you know why I'm a Kohen, Behemet? Do you know why I'm a Kohen? I'm going to tell you why I'm a Kohen. It says in Parashat Ki Tisa, Parashat Ki Tisa, Sefer Shmot. Fascinating situation here. We all went to Mount Sinai. All of our neshamot were there. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says that even the converts had their angel at Mount Sinai. They call it the Mazal. The Mazal of the convert was at Mount Sinai. We're all at Mount Sinai. And what did we do at Mount Sinai, the Chafetz Chaim says? Student finally can talk. He says, oh, we get Torah? Good. We got Torah. But when Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shamayim, and he got the 10 Commandments, and he got the Torah, what was Am Yisrael doing? Am Yisrael, Chet HaEgel, Kvod Harav. Chet HaEgel, Chet HaEgel, Rabotai Yekarim, we had the golden calf. Hashem Yerachem was still suffering because of the golden calf until this day. We're suffering because of this golden calf. And it says, because of this golden calf, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, go down to your people. They sinned. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and he sees the people and he lets go of the 10 Commandments and they break. But the next thing that he does is what made the person a Kohen today. Moshe Rabbeinu says in chapter 32, verse 26 of the book of Shmot or Exodus, Mila Adonai Elai. Whoever's for Hashem is with me. V'yasfu elav kol bnei Levi. He says, who's for Hashem? Come with me. Who came? The sons of Levi. My grandfather came. What to do? Vayomer lahem, ko amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael, simu ish charbo al yerecho, ivru v'shuvu mishar leshar, b'machane v'irgu ish et achiv, v'ish et re'eu, v'ish et krovo. ויעשו בני לוי כדבר משה, ויפול מן העם ביום ההוא כ3,000 איש. Moshe Rabbeinu says, who is for Hashem, join me. And all of the Leviim gathered around him. He said to them, so Hashem, the God of Israel, and every man put his sword on his thigh and passed back and forth from gate to gate in the camps, and let every man kill his brother, every man his fellow, every man his near one. Anyone that worships an idol, I don't care if it's your brother, it's your father, it's your sister, anyone that worships an idol, if you're for Hashem, you go kill him right now with the sword. Who did it? The Leviim. As it says, the Leviim did as Moses said, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. 3,000 people were died. Their brothers, their sisters, their cousins. You didn't tell them, go kill a bunch of strangers. That's not difficult. You hate him anyway. He's your neighbor. He's your this, he's that. He's your competition. You open a store next to yours. He's a better diamond dealer, this and that. No. He said specifically, your brother, go kill him. Your sister, go kill her. So the Chafetz Chaim HaKadosh says, you see, the reason why I'm a Kohen is because my grandfather, when he was called by Hashem to fight the war of Hashem, he said, I'm here. I'm here. you know why I tell you this, he says? Because you could also do it. You can't be a Kohen, but you could fight for Hashem. You could fight for Hashem, you could fight for Hashem. You could fight for Hashem, and you could get a gift like the KoHanim got for one little battle. They didn't get become the warriors of the land every generation after generation. No, one war their entire history. After that, not allowed to fight anymore. KoHanim, you work in the Bet HaMikdash. One war. Hashem called you once. Moshe Rabbeinu called you once. One time. Who is for Hashem is with me. Only the Levim raised their hand. Everybody else was there. Didn't raise their hand. Why? It wasn't convenient. I don't want to kill my brother. I don't want to go against my cousin. I'm really busy right now. It's difficult. I'm not really sure I could win. I'm scared. Please, maybe there's another way. Maybe there's an eter. Maybe there's a leniency. Maybe they didn't understand. Maybe a tinok shenishba. We just got the Torah yesterday. Hashem calls, fight the war of Hashem. He says, my grandfather fought it. That's why until this day, I'm benefiting from his action. Imagine what kind of benefit you can have for being the actual one that fights for Hashem. Not from your grandfather, but you. Because obviously the gift of the original Kohanim was much greater than some Kohen today who sometimes doesn't even know he's a Kohen. Sometimes he doesn't even know what a Kohen is. There's a very famous Israeli joke. Kohen, a young kid, comes to a rabbi, and he says, Kvod Harav, I want to buy the kehuna. I want to be a Kohen. The rabbi says, I'm sorry, kid, but you can't. He says, listen, Rav, I come from a rich family, $10,000, cash. You don't have to pay taxes on it. He says, thanks, kid. I would love the money, but still can't make you a Kohen. Okay. I see how you negotiate. You religious people, you guys know how to negotiate. Fine, $25,000, cash. $100 bills, unmarked, like the mobsters. Sorry, kid, I can't do it. Kid didn't know nothing. He's secular, wearing ripped jeans, 3 earrings, has a ponytail instead of a beard. Shem Yachem. Okay, Rabbi, $50,000. I'm sorry. Doesn't make a difference what's price. You can't do it. He goes, yeah, but why the reform across the street? They said for $1,000 I could be Kohen Gadol. He says, listen, it's not Judaism. But I have a different question for you. Why do you want to be a Kohen, kid? He goes, well, my dad's a Kohen. My grandfather was a Kohen. My great-grandfather was a Kohen. So I figured everybody's a Kohen. I want to be a Kohen also. The fool didn't realize, he didn't know any Torah at all, didn't realize you can't buy kehuna, but you are a Kohen already. Why? Because your father was a Kohen. We actually live in a generation like that where sometimes people don't even know what it is. I told you guys the horrible story that I found out that's happening in Florida, maybe about an hour from here. A huge Bet Knesset, multi-million-dollar organization has a heretical rabbi that converted a woman in order to marry a Jew. So already we know it was a problem because she converted not because of Judaism, she converted because of the Jew. The proof of it is that they never kept mitzvot. Not her, not him. But what's the bigger problem? Even if she did keep mitzvot, she still wouldn't be allowed to marry him. Why? He's a Kohen. He's a Kohen. So they made some fake conversion. So now the kids are both in their 20s. They have 2 kids. Both kids are in their 20s. They even went, as Americans, they went to serve in IDF because they want to feel out their Judaism because they actually think they're Jewish. These 2 kids live their life. They're convinced they're Jewish. Even more so now that they both went to the IDF. These kids want to marry other Jewish kids. They don't want to keep any mitzvot, but they want to marry other Jewish kids. Why? Because they feel Jewish. Who's at fault? The rabbi. Why did the rabbi do it? Because the guy, the Kohen, is a multi-millionaire. Every year he's the #1 donor in the Knesset for over 30 years, 40 years. Sold Hashem for money. Sold Hashem for money. Hashem Yirachem. Sold Hashem for money. This is happening right now. Right now as we speak, it's happening right now. This rabbi, this Menuval, people think he's a respectable rabbi. He's part of Chabad. He's part of a big organization. He's got a $30 million building. They highlighted him on some Torah show not too long ago. They think he's a mechubad. But this, Rabotai, is dangerous people. Dangerous people. This is why Yitro, when he gave the suggestions to Moshe Rabbeinu, he told him you have to get judges. You have to get judges that are going to enforce the law. But there has to be conditions for these judges. They have to have Yirat Shamayim. They have to have Yirat Shamayim. They have to be successful people in Torah. But most importantly, they have to hate money. They have to hate money. Why? If they don't hate money, everything else goes to the garbage. Person that loves money will sell God for money. It's just a price difference. The reality is, Rabotai, each one of us has a little yetzirah for money. Question is, how much does your God cost? I tell you, I'll give you $1,000 to be a Mechalel Shabbat. You do it? All of you say, come on, Kvod Harav, what tzaddikim? No, we crazy? $1,000? Okay, increase it to 100,000. All of a sudden, it's like, ooh, 100,000, I could put a deposit on the house. All of a sudden, you start, the Yetzirah starts doing calculation in your head. Ooh, 100,000, I could put a deposit on the house. I could pay the credit cards that I owe. 200,000. Oh, now you're talking for the Rav. Keep going, Habibi. $1 million cash. I open the suitcase. I show you $1 million cash. Show me one Jew. Show me one Jew that doesn't come to the shiurim and learn mussar on a regular basis, getting punched in the face every week. That's not going to say, yes, give me the $1 million. The only ones that will stand are the ones that learn mussar. And even them, not all of them. Alvai was all of them. $1 million cash, they're eating pork on Shabbat while they're driving. Why? They love money. They love money. Rabotai, Hashem told us, don't forget me. It's a mitzvah from the Torah. Don't forget Hashem. Don't forget Hashem. It's a mitzvah from the Torah. Book of Deuteronomy, Sefer Dvarim. Don't forget me. What do you mean, Hashem? I'm talking to you. How can I forget you? Don't forget me. I want to make you successful. I want to make you powerful. I'm going to give you a Nobel Prize. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. Just don't forget me. What do? We forgot him. We forgot him. We forgot him. The Chafetz Chaim says, you know why I'm a Kohen? Because my grandfather fought for Hashem. I got a gift because my grandfather did something good. You want a gift? Just like my grandfather or even bigger? You can fight for Hashem. You can fight for Hashem. You can fight for Hashem every day. You see a Mechalel Shabbat? Bring him closer. Come, let me show you how to keep Shabbat. Let me show you how wonderful Shabbat is. Let me show you how wonderful Shabbat is. But also, you should know, it's not only wonderful, but if you don't do it, Hashem's going to kill you. When? I don't know. Soon. How do you know? It says it in the Torah, Parashat Ki Tisa, and 12 other places, 11 other places. 11 other places say, Hashem, you Mechalel Shabbat, Hashem's going to kill you. Some moron told me on the internet, no, Yonatan Levi, Rabbi, Yonatan Levi taught us that somebody's a Mechalel Shabbat, Hashem doesn't kill him. The rabbis have to kill him. But since we don't have the rabbis, we don't have Sanhedrin, then he's okay to Mechalel Shabbat. That's what he learns from Yonatan Levi. He wrote this on the internet. He didn't read the Gemara that it says, no, at the time there's no Sanhedrin. Hashem is the one that enforces the entire Torah. Where someone that violates the Torah is din karet, that he's supposed to get death penalty, Hashem sends them a bull to run over him, meaning the equivalent of a car accident, or falling off of a building, plane crash, falls on an elevator, dies. All these things, that's Hashem giving a person the punishment for karet.
But it's just a physical karet or a spiritual one too?
Both. Mot yumat. V'nechata nefesh harim. Mot yumat means death in this world, death in the Olam Haba. You see a Jew that's violating Shabbat, don't get mad. Help him. Find out why. 99% of the time, it's because they're ignorant. They either don't know what Shabbat is and how beautiful it is when you keep it the right way, or they don't know the consequence of violating it. One or the other. Bring them closer. Try once, try twice, try 3 times. Pray for them. Cry for them. When was the last time you cried for a Jew, other than yourself? You pray for Am Yisrael, or you just pray for yourself? Why are you so selfish? Why are we so selfish? We always pray for ourselves. Hashem give me, Hashem give me, Hashem give me. What about the rest of Am Yisrael? Why don't you pray for them to do tshuva? Why don't you pray for them to get closer to Hashem? Why don't you pray for them to have parnasah? Why don't you pray for other people? Why is it just you? That's the war of Hashem. What's the war of Hashem? You fight for his kids. You fight for his kids. Rabotai Karim, Rabbi Mizrachi Sheikhye gave a chidush and a shiur about this parashat Vayigash, at least $1 million. I think he'll take payments though. Chidush is, Rabotai, parashat Vayigash, this week's parasha. The brothers are in a tense place with Yosef. A war is about to take place. The brothers are about to destroy all of Egypt because they don't want to give up Benjamin. They've already suffered enough because of the loss of Yosef. And Yehuda is debating with Yosef because he doesn't know it's Yosef. He says, take me, take us, take everybody, except him. No. And he says to him the following. Vayagidu lo le'emor, no. No, not this one. Tells him, yes, yeah. Yosef, you are worse than Paro. He's not even being politically correct here. He's not even being nice about it. You're worse than Paro. I tried offering you deals, you didn't take it. But you should know, כי איך אעלה אל אבי והנער איננו איתי, פן אראה ברע אשר ימצא את אבי. Yehuda tells Yosef, listen, you are stronger and bigger and this and that, but you have a very, very serious problem. A very serious problem in chapter 44, verse 34. He says, for how can I go up to my father if the youth is not with me? Lest I see the evil that will befall my father. He says, how could I go back home without Benjamin? That's the pshat. What's the chidush that Rabbi Mizrachi says? It says that each and every single one of us lives our life, forget about God on a regular basis, think that God's not watching. We do our thing, we do a few mitzvot, we keep Shabbat here and there, we do this, we do that. But we think if we keep Shabbat, we learn a little bit, we come to the shiur, we're finished. Eventually, the MUSSAR is going to come from Hashem Yitbarach, one-on-one, and no power in the world can relieve us from Him. No power in the world is going to be able to allow us to run away, to hide from nothing. And He's going to ask us, what have you done for me? What does it mean, what have you done for me? Where's the rest of my kids? He says, how can I go up? How can I go to my Father, meaning my Father in heaven, and the youth is not with me? How can I go up to Shamayim, and my kids don't keep Shabbat? My cousins don't keep Shabbat. My friends don't keep Shabbat. They're all married to Goyim. They're homosexuals. They're lefty liberal communists. They're all types of things. How can I go up to Shamayim, to my Father in heaven, and tell him, they're not with me? Why? Because lest I see the evil that will befall my father. What kind of sorrow, Hashem Yitbarach, what kind of crying he's going to have when he finds out that the rest of my brothers are not with me. People think that they do good by building buildings. So they give 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 to buildings, to build more buildings. And after they finish the buildings, they want to decorate the building. So they need another million. And after that, they want to put the chandelier. So they put another 100. Make sure their name is on there. And they donate for trips to Israel. Let's go to trips to Israel because we all want to go to Israel. And we have fun. And we go rafting. And we go grafting. And we go painting. And we go paintballing. And they all do all these things that everybody's having fun, fun, fun. Little do we know that we're all becoming less and less Jewish. Actually, some of these trips, technically, they do help them become Jews. But it's very, very random, very, very few. The vast majority, complete waste of money. The tzedakah is not even tzedakah. A lot of people donate tons of money. I honestly don't even think it's tzedakah. According to halacha. Why? None of it is used for Torah. But the reality is that each and every single person will eventually have to go up to Shamayim and show the accounting, show their book. Oh, look, Hashem, I gave $1 million to this building. Okay, great. So, what about tzedakah? Well, I gave $1 million to this other building. Okay, great. What about the other tzedakah? Well, I gave money to my wife. Okay, tzedakah, yeah, tzedakah, just we'll keep going. I gave money to my kids. All right, tzedakah. I gave money to myself. I bought a car. Tzedakah. I bought a watch. Tzedakah. Where's the tzedakah? Where is it? Well, I gave some money to a homeless guy that was a goy idol worshiper. Okay, where's the tzedakah? Where's the tzedakah? Not the guy that was praying to Jesus. Where's the tzedakah? Where'd you give tzedakah? Where's the rest of my kids? Oh, I sponsored 3 CDs. I sent $3. Okay, now you have some tzedakah. You have $3 in tzedakah and $1.5 million in avodah zarah. A person will go up to Shamayim and he has to explain where is his brother. Where is he? Where's your brother? Your fellow Jew. How come he's not with you? He lived next to you. How come he's not with you? He was in the same office as you. How come he's not with you? He was your son or daughter. How come he's not with you as Shomer Torah and Mitzvot? How come? This, Rabotai, is a very scary question because many of us think that the Mashiach comes, we're set. On fire, maybe. The Magid Mordechai Chernobyl arrived one time to chidush late. Chidush Friday, he arrived late. Now he told the people there, don't think that I arrived late for no reason. I had a very special, holy guest that I had to deal with. And his name was Eliyahu Navi. Now I couldn't leave him because he brought with him many Chachamim, many tzaddikim from previous generations. And they came to me, they said, listen, you are the Gdol Ador. You are the leader of the generation. And we came over here to ask you for your approval to bring Mashiach in your generation. Now, they had to ask my permission because I'm the Gdol Ador. So everyone in the family is paying attention like you are. No, what'd you say? I said no. Don't bring Mashiach. One of the guests was a rabbi and couldn't hold himself. He knew a little bit of Torah. He had a keilah. And he was livid that the rabbi said no to bring Mashiach. He said, Kvod Harav, why would you do such a thing? Why would you say no to bring Mashiach? Rav Mordechai Chernobyl says to him, because there are many neshamot that still haven't fixed themselves. There are many neshamot that haven't completed their tikkun. And if the Mashiach would come right now, they would all be destroyed. I can't live with that. So the rabbi without midot says to him, come on, Kvod Harav. What, for a few neshamot? We all have to continue suffering? It's not our fault they don't keep. Why should we suffer? Why can't you bring the salvation? And he comes closer to the rabbi and he says to him, what makes you think you weren't one of the neshamot? Who told you I didn't hear your name first? Do you understand? Do you understand? The power instilled in the Talmidei Chachamim is literally something that's beyond our understanding. Beyond our understanding, that instead of aspiring to be a Kohen Gadol, a person should die for Torah to hopefully be a Talmid Chacham one day. Rav Tzvi Hirsch Milishka was Kodesh Kodashim, didn't really know much about his community. All he knew is that he had books that he had to read. He had chidushim he had to publish. He had Torah to study. The rest of the world, it's not really much time for it. One time, the Keilah invited him to do a chuppah in Kiddushim. Now, when you're a holy person, the midot of the Kohen also become your midot. So when it says purity, you have to be pure also when you're a regular Israelite. When it says that you have to watch your eyes, you watch your eyes regardless if you're Kohen or not. Everybody has to watch their eyes. Everybody has to be pure. Everybody has to do all these things. So he came to the chuppah, delving in his Torah, thinking, not wasting a moment. And eventually, the crowd became impatient because there's a chuppah to do. And he did, he realized there's people waiting, and he did about to start the chuppah. And he looked around, and he says, wow, why do you all hate me so much that you don't tell me that there's such a horrible decree on our city, that there's not a single woman in our city that's married to such an extent that all of the women have already gotten older than marriage age? Why didn't you tell me so I could pray for you and get every woman married? That's it. I'm not going to let you leave it as a secret. From now on, I decree every woman in our city is going to get married this year. The Keilah got scared to death. They knew who they're dealing with. He's not your local rabbi that maybe once in a while he's the one dancing in the party with the girls. This is Kodesh Kodashim. They knew if he says it comes true. Why is that a problem? All of the women were married. They just didn't cover their hair. So they say, Kvod Harav, no. they're all married. He says, what do you mean they're married? They're all single. He goes, no, Kvod Harav, they just don't cover their hair. So, oh, it's even worse. It's even worse than I thought. Well, I already passed a decree. I already judged the decree. I prayed to Shamayim with all the kavanot. I said a decree. They're all going to be married this year. Which means one of two choices. In Shamayim, they're going to fulfill it. One of two choices. Either they're going to cover their hair and be legally righteous as a married woman, or their husband's going to die, and then they're going to have to get remarried again. Everybody got scared. Everybody did tshuva. Everybody covered their hair. I don't have to say. Why? That generation, almost 200 years ago, they were still scared of rabbis because they had some anshe emet. They had some anshe emet. The Talmid Chacham has something that's beyond our understanding. Now the Rambam in his halacha, he says something very interesting. He asks a very serious question. In halacha number 12, in chapter 13 of the Ilchot Shmita v'Yovel, he says something very, very interesting. It's really a question. It's an halacha, but it's actually a question. He says the following. Why did the Levites not receive a portion of the inheritance of Eretz Yisrael? And in the spoils of war, like their brethren? Why not? Why not? Hashem gave land to all of the tribes. He gave it to all of the tribes, he didn't give it to the Levites. Why? Why not? Which, by the way, you should know, at the time of Mashiach, is going to be the land. Is going to be divided around the entire world. And it's going to be divided into 13. What's 13? 12 tribes and one for Mashiach. But before that, you would think, why wouldn't the KoHanim, why would the Levim is one of the tribes, why didn't they get one of the lands? So the Rambam answers, because they were set aside to serve God and minister unto Him and to instruct the people at large in His just paths and righteous judgments. Their job was to go publicize Torah. Their job to be Zikuei Rabim. Help people do tshuva. Help people learn Torah. That was their job for the Kohanim. If you're Kohen, you're focusing on serving for Hashem, you don't have time for anything else. Yeah, but how am I going to make parnasah? What am I going to do? Who, what, when, and how? The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 10, is being cited by the Rambam. And he says, they will teach your judgments to Yaakov and your Torah to Israel. Therefore, the Rambam continues, they were set apart from the ways of the world. They do not wage war like the remainder of the Jewish people, nor do they receive an inheritance, nor do they acquire for themselves through their physical power. Instead, they are God's legion. As we said earlier, as it states, and it continues of the verse, God has blessed His legion, and He provides for them. And the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 20 says, I am your portion and your inheritance. Hashem Yitbarach did something extraordinary, something unbelievable. He said to the Kohanim, you have to live a life that's very different from everybody else. You have to be my legion. You have to be my personal army. What army? You learn and publicize Torah 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with no break. All you do is Torah, that's all you need to do. Parnasah? Don't worry about it. Inheritance, don't worry about it. Why? You have me. I am your inheritance. Everybody else has a lot of other stuff I gave them. You have me. Hashem says, you have me. That's all you need. I'm your inheritance. Hamash, Pasuk, it says, I'm your inheritance. Now, why is this so critical for Am Yisrael to understand? Because in a different place, the Rambam says, who are the Levi'im today? Okay, so you see a few Kohanim, that in Bekneset put Talit on top to give Birkat the Kohanim. In Eretz Yisrael, it's both the Sephardic and the Ashkenazim. In the Galut, where we are in Mitzrayim, unfortunately, many Ashkenazim don't do this for most of the year. They don't have Birkat Kohanim. Only a couple times a year during the high holidays. But the point is that the Kohanim, okay, if they don't fulfill their Birkat Kohanim, there's different things that they do. But the reality is that sometimes these Kohanim, they're not even Kohanim. There's a mistake. They're not really Kohanim. There was maybe an intermarriage at some point, or maybe their grandfather really wasn't a Kohen, or maybe somebody bought a Keuna. So the reality is that you can't be for sure know that everybody's a Kohen that says they're a Kohen. In the book The Coming Revolution by Rabbi Zamir Cohen, Shichye, he writes that the actual scientists did a investigation into different genes and DNA and actually verified that over 85 or 87% of the Kohanim that they tested have one specific item that's in their DNA that nobody else has. The Kohanim actually have something different, unique in their DNA than everybody else. Now, how do you explain the missing 13 to 15%? Maybe that's the 13 to 15% that are not really Kohanim. Who knows? I'm just guessing here. So it's just my own theory, which is worth 2 cents. Point being is, it's very interesting that there are Kohanim, many of them, that have a special part of their DNA that's different from the rest of mankind. It's not just the rest of Judaism, the rest of mankind. Now, the Rambam says, Kohanim we know. What about the Leviim, which is technically the tribe? What about the Leviim? Who are the Leviim today? And yes, there's a few Leviim that you see in the Beit Knesset. Every Beit Knesset has 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5. Depends on the size of the Beit Knesset. But the Rambam says in a different place where he says, really the Leviim, that's the legion of Hashem. That's the army of Hashem. Who's the army of Hashem? The Talmidei Chachamim. The Mizakei Rabim. The people that kol kulam Torah. All they do is Torah. That's the warriors of Hashem. That's the army of Hashem. Where is the assurance of this? Where is the signature that this is valid? The next halacha. The last halacha in Ilchot Shemitah v'Yovel 13:13, he says the following. The Rambam says the following. ולא שבט לוי בלבד, אלא כל איש ואיש מכל באי העולם. He says not only the tribe of Levi, but any one of the inhabitants of the world. Some even say this could potentially mean even goyim, righteous goyim. Any of the inhabitants of the world whose spirit generously motivates him and he understands with his wisdom to set himself aside and stand before God to serve him and minister to him and to know God. He doesn't say believe in God. He says know God, proceeding justly as God made him, removing from his neck the yoke of many reckonings which people seek. He is sanctified as holy of holies. God will be his portion and heritage forever, and will provide what is sufficient for him in this world, like he provides for the priests, for the Kohanim, and the Levites. Where does the Rambam get this? What is this, a chidush? No chidush at all. It's chidush to us because we're still learning. But where does he get this from the Torah? He says, as David HaMelech, Melech Israel said, the Melech Mashiach said. David HaMelech wasn't a Kohen. David HaMelech was Yehuda, Shevet Yehuda. So what does David HaMelech say? Psalm 16, verse 5. Adonai menat chelki vekosi, ata tomich gorali. God is the lot of my portion. You are my cup. You support my lot. He says, God, I don't have anything. I just want you. You be my portion. You be my inheritance. Just like the Kohanim. How could David HaMelech feel like he has the right to ask such a portion? I only study Torah. All I do is I study Torah. Kol yemei chayai. All I do is study Torah, Hashem. That's all I do. I don't deal with business. Even when I see other kings, I study Torah. That doesn't make a difference to me. They make fun of me. That doesn't make a difference to me. I study Torah all the time. That's all I have, Hashem. If I only have Torah, all I want is a portion. What portion? You. All I want is you. All I want is you. Rabotai Karim. A person can get to a higher ma'ala than a Kohen Gadol. How? Study Torah. But don't study Torah as a hobby once in a blue moon. Make Torah the obligation of your life. Make Torah something that you do on a daily basis. Even if you work and you're a teacher and you're a plumber and you're I don't know, something, you're a transformer, whatever you are, doesn't make a difference. Make Torah an obligation in your life. You have to be Gita Bo Yomam V'Layla. You have to get to it morning and night. You, your children, your household, everybody. Why? Because eventually we get up to Shamayim and I say, where's my son? I'm here. No. The other one. The one that I gave you as a collateral. The one I gave you, your son. Where is he? He keeps Shabbat. What do you mean? What do you mean he keeps Shabbat? You kept Shabbat. How come your son didn't keep Shabbat? Oh, he went off the derech. Why did he go off the derech? Why did he go off the derech? Well, we talked a little bit of business on Shabbat, and Hashem, Yeridat Adorot, generations go down, so he did business on Shabbat. We talked business on Shabbat. Theoretically speaking, he ended up doing business on Shabbat. Rabotai, it's not so difficult. You just got to study. You study, you pass. You study, you pass. But to give us the last token of what we got from here is that a person needs to understand that when you become a Talmid Chacham, you become somebody that publicizes Torah to yourself, to your family, to your keilah, to your whatever, to somebody. You do something with this Torah, which we're going to learn Be'ezrat Hashem with the rest of this Mishnah. We're just touching it a little bit right now. When you say something, Hashem fulfills it. How do we know? A person came to one of the Gdolei Hador in Russia in a previous generation, and he said, I don't understand you Jews. Wherever you go, everybody accuses you of being spies. It doesn't make a difference what happens. Everybody accuses you of being meraglim, spies. You Russia, they accuse you of being spies. The KGB wants to kill you. You go to America, they accuse you of being spies. They send you to jail for 40 years. Like the poor guy, they sent him to jail for 40 years. He had to fight tooth and nail until they eventually let him out before he died. He's still alive, but mamash, they almost killed him in there. What was his name? Jonathan Pollard. Why does everybody accuse you of being spies? In Iran, they accuse you of spies. In Iraq, they're spies. In Israel, spies. Everywhere, they're spies. How come? The Rav says, it's a very easy question. He says, because one time, a tzaddik said, meraglim atem. You're meraglim. You're spies. He said it once. Hashem decreed it. Because what? What do you mean? He says, there was somebody by the name of Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik was playing a game with his brothers to test them. Did they do tshuva? They didn't do tshuva. So he didn't tell him he's their brother. He continued playing the role of being the viceroy. He says, who are you? You're spies, because there's so many of you, because you came in different doors. Spies. No, Your Highness, we're not spies. We're all brothers of the same father, and we have one other brother. If you don't bring me the other brother, then you are spies. Spies. So even though Yosef HaTzadik didn't really mean they're spies, he said it for the rest of time in this world, Hashem fulfills it. Everywhere we're going to go, America, Iran, Bangladesh, anywhere you want to go, you're a spy. Why? Tzaddik said it one time. The tzaddik said it one time. That's the power of the Torah. That's the power of the Torah. You say it, Hashem fulfills it. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to continue with this Mishnah next week and actually go into the 48 different qualities that are required to become a Talmid Chacham. Each one of us has to start checking. I have this, I don't have this. I have this, I need this. I have this, oh vay voy, I don't have nothing. Oh vay voy, I'm getting worse. Oh, I'm drowning. Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, Hashem help me. Please help me. Oh, we're going to go through it because it's not so easy to have 48. It's not so easy to have 8. But we have to get there. That's the job you have in this world. That's the job you have in this world. You want your kid to be a tzaddik? You have to be a tzaddik. You want your house to be full of kedusha? You have to be a tzaddik. There's no 50-50 anymore. There's no 50-50. Any questions? Yes?
No, I just want to ask you, can we add one name for Rosh Hashanah?
Sure. Refuah shlema for Yosef ben Zeri. Kadosh Baruch Hu will give him refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf.
From what I have experienced, 2 of the crowns are receiving gifts. That's how it says. However, for the case of Torah, it speaks of 48 sacrifices. He's not receiving. He's giving.
Yes and no. Because some of the I like your point. I like it. But some of the things that the king needs to do in order to be a king is that he needs to make sacrifices. He needs to be a Talmid Chacham. He needs to have Yirat Shamayim. If he has no Yirat Shamayim, he can't be a king. Same thing with and there's others. With the Kohen also. The Kohen has to be pure and has to do a lot of different things that we talked about of his physicality. Not just the physical things, but also he has to be pure in mind, holy. He has to be Talmid Chacham. So he also has to make certain sacrifices. Not as much as, let's say, the Talmid Chacham, but nonetheless, they also have to. The Talmid Chacham, yes, he has to make certain sacrifices, but there is some of these are really a result of other sacrifices, which we'll learn. But in general, yes, it's the most difficult one to attain because it's the only one you can attain, regardless of where you are, regardless of your Mamzer, Israel, Kohen, or even king. The other ones, technically, you could only attain them if it's hereditary, if your father is it. So that's actually also a reason why they say that a Chacham, a Talmid Chacham, is better than a Navi. Talmid Chacham is even more important than a prophet. It's preferable to a prophet. So it takes a lot more mesirut nefesh, a lot more sacrifice, and so on. But we'll go into the details of it. But I like the idea itself. We'll try to build on it. Yes?
I've heard people talking about the red cow and how it's symbolized with Mashiach and supposed to be based on Mikdash.
Okay.
So is there anything that also is supposed to go with it?
Well, we've had 9 red cows throughout history that were used in the Bet HaMikdash. And for 2,000 years, since the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, there hasn't been another red cow born until recent years, until the last 3 years. Right now, there's several red cows. Some say there are 3, some say there's only 1 because the first 2 ended up being psulot for other reasons. But the point is, there is a red cow in the world. They believe it's in Israel. There's actually a institution that actually decided to breed red cows in hopes of finding one of them that's a perfect red cow that would be used in the Beit HaMikdash when it's rebuilt. I personally think it's a wasted effort, simply because when Hashem decides to bring the Mashiach, He's going to bring everything ready on a plate, and the only thing we should be focusing on is doing tshuva, just like all the prophets said. No one said you should breed cows in order to for the Mashiach to come. No one said you should start bringing korbanot, like the Temple Institute announced yesterday or the day before, that they build some type of mishkan, and they're doing korbanot now, which is actually sin from the Torah. Not allowed to do it. Now, they have some Talmidei Chachamim, I believe, that are part of it, so I don't know what they're doing over there, but it doesn't look good. People get a little bit ahead of themselves, or some people are saying, no, we're going to get some money together, we're going to build a Beit HaMikdash. No one said you're supposed to build a Beit HaMikdash. No one told you to build a Beit HaMikdash. The only thing that Hashem said is do tshuva. He said it to every single prophet from the beginning to the end. Do tshuva, I'll bring you Mashiach. No tshuva, I'll force you to do tshuva. With Haman, with Hitler, Hashem Yachem, and so on and so forth. The point is that if the Mashiach would come right now, we have a red cow for him, but the reality is that one interesting point is that Hashem is giving us many, many signs to show us that the Mashiach is near. It could be tomorrow, it could be in 5 years from now or 10 years from now. We don't really know exactly. But we all are supposed to be prepared on any given day. Because Hashem is giving us many signs that time is running out and the Mashiach is near. Now, there are different signs, different indications that are supposed to happen before Mashiach arrives. Different things that are supposed to happen before he comes. About 50 years ago, we had virtually none of them. Virtually none of them. Like right after the Holocaust, we had a few of them that were, that came true. But the vast majority of the signs that Mashiach is near did not happen. Over the last 10 years, almost every single sign and indication that the sages and the prophets have told us that would happen before the Mashiach comes has happened. One of the biggest ones has been the birth of a red cow. Because it's the first time in 2,000 years that a perfect red cow exists in the world. So even if this red cow is never used, it's still something that we're obligated to realize. It's a Hashem speaking to us and telling us, you don't have anywhere near as much time as you could imagine. And the reality is that every single one of us has to do tshuva immediately. Every single one of us should do KIRUV immediately. Every single one of us has to literally be like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi HaKadosh, almost 2,000 years ago, was running in the streets. Running in the street. Nasi Israel, one level below the king. When the Mashiach comes, it's going to be Mashiach and then Nasi Israel. And then the rest of the nation. Nasi Israel. Rabbi HaKadosh was the Nasi, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. He was running in the middle of the streets, looking to help whoever he can to help them do tshuva. Why? Because the Zohar Kadosh says you have to go run after Jews to help them do tshuva like you're running after your own life. Like you're running after your own life. Like you want another breath to breathe, to live. Like that, you should fight for another Jew. So the fact that we have a generation where millions and millions of dollars are being donated to build buildings and take trips, but virtually no money in comparison is being used for KIRUV, is obviously a problem. People are spending money in the wrong place. And I'm not just talking about the millionaires. People think I'm only going against the millionaires. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the people that are watching. I'm talking about the average Joe that makes $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year and thinks that it's only worth it to donate if you could donate a lot of money. Or it's only worth it to donate if you donate to the big organization to be part of some campaign. And the reality is, this is the Yetzirah. This is a mitzvah from the Yetzirah making you think such a thing. Every single person can donate. It's not possible for you not to be able to donate. Every person can donate. Every person. You make money, you can donate. If there's a kid that's not even Jewish, that makes $380 a week and donates 80 of it to KIRUV. Every week he donates. He makes $380 a week. He has a kid. He's not like a little nothing. He has a kid. He's got a girl. He's got everything. He's trying to convert B'ezrat Hashem. But he still finds a way to donate $80 a week to KIRUV. You're telling me that the average guy that has $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a year coming to him from his job can't donate also $50, $100 a month? No one signs up for $200, $300 a month. No one has any money. Everyone's broke. It's a complete joke that you have to ask people for donations. Why? Because you see their names on different campaigns. You see people's names on different campaigns. If their name shows up on the internet, they donate. But if the name doesn't show up, no donating. Oh yeah, Rabbi, listen, can you donate to this campaign? We're building another building for this yeshiva that's I never went to, but I know somebody that went to it. I just donated $500. What do you think you can do, Rabbi? I say to myself, wait a minute. This is the kid that sends me 18 questions a week, watches at least 2 to 3 shiurim a week, meaning you're pretty much living in my house. 6 hours a week you're watching the shiurim, and every 5 seconds you send a question, but you send the $500 to a building you never used. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. We have to even talk about this. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara tells us that if no one's going to know I donated, I'm not doing it. Somebody else is going to do it. He probably has millionaires doing it. The reality is, Rabotai, every single non-profit organization is going to tell you, whether they're the Red Cross, or it's that's a multi-billion-dollar organization, or it's Chabad, that's also a multi-billion-dollar organization, whatever it is, they're all going to tell you, the real donations come from regular people. Middle to lower class, donating $30 at a time, $100 at a time, $200 at a time, $500, whatever it is. Not because the money, because they care. Because they care about somebody aside from themselves. It's embarrassing for me to tell you that many donors that donate for you, for Am Yisrael, are not Jews. It's embarrassing for me to tell you that there are many non-Jews that care about you, Jewish people, more than you. Somehow they find a way to donate. Somehow they find a way to care. Somehow some of them, they say to me, please send me CDs. I don't have any money, but I have time. Send me CDs. I'll give it to every synagogue. I'm not allowed in, but I can give them the CDs. They ask for CDs. I send them CDs all over the world. They get CDs. They take time. They don't have money. They use time. They have time. They have money. And so on and so forth. Why? They care. They care. But you see people, every shiur, they watch. On Facebook Live, they're watching. On YouTube, they're watching. On the internet, they're watching. Donation, 0. Why? Why? Do you hate the work that much? You care less about Am Yisrael that much? It has nothing to do with me. Donate time. Donate a button. Share the lecture, for heaven's sake. It doesn't even cost any money. You're on Facebook Live right now. Share the lecture, for heaven's sake. Why are you so selfish? You have 500 friends you don't even know on the internet. Use them for something. Maybe you'll save a soul. Some people have thousands of friends but never share one lecture. What's the point of having so many friends? You get up to Shamayim, Hashem's going to ask you, I gave you 5,000 friends on YouTube, 5,000 friends on Facebook, a zillion friends on Twitter, and all this garbage. What'd you do? You shared one time. How's everybody doing? Instead of sharing shiurei Torah, you shared, how's everybody doing? I just came out of the restaurant. It was a good cake. Look at the picture of the cake I ate. There's crumbs that are left. It's funny, but it's sad. It's funny, but it's sad. People sometimes are so cheap, not even a button, not even a share button they don't press. A share button doesn't cost any money. Doesn't even take more internet power. What does it take? A heart. An unselfish heart. A heart that sees other people other than himself. The same quality also to donate money. It's sad to say that I donate more than most of the donors for Be'ezrat Hashem. And I don't even have a salary. I live off of donations, but I donate more than most people. This is not a ma'ala for me. It's a shame on people. Why? We still have to realize, you have to help your brother. You go up to Shamayim, Hashem's going to ask you, where's your brother? Where's your brother? Where is he? Oh, he didn't do tshuva. Oh, he didn't do tshuva. Let me show you why he didn't do tshuva. Remember that one time you were watching the shiur for 3 hours? You were saying, wow, great, this was fantastic, the best shiur in the world. I can't wait to watch it again tomorrow and the next day. You remember that shiur? Yeah, of course, Hashem, of course I remember that shiur. I can tell you the shiur. No, Hashem told you, I know the shiur. I watched it too. I watched it too. And remember when the rabbi said, donate, and you were thinking, $100? Yeah, I have $100 to donate. I have $100. You know what? I'll just do it tomorrow. Because I want to save the $3.50 that Facebook charges. I want to save it. I'm going to send a check tomorrow. And remember, like it never happened. It never happened. Because tzaddikim, they run after the mitzvot. Now, not tomorrow to save $3.40. You had the $100, but you didn't donate. Remember when you heard it and you said you're going to do it and you never actually did it? Well, by the way, that's why your son didn't do tshuva. Because part of that $100, $1 was going to go to your son. That dollar was a CD. The CD was going to make him watch it. He's going to watch it, he's going to do tshuva. He's going to start keeping Shabbat. He's going to leave the Goya. He's going to start learning every day. Next thing you know, he was going to actually become a rabbi. Make other people do tshuva. But you ruined it. But how's that $100 helping you in Olam Emet? All you need is to care. All you need is to care, Rabotai. All you need is to care. That's it. Caring is the only quality you're required to do KIRUV. Because whether you have money or not, if you care, Hashem will give you a way to do it. Either with abundance of time, abundance of friends and contacts, whatever. He's going to make, if you care, Hashem is going to help you. How do we know this? Abali ta'er mesein beyado. Someone that comes to become purified, they give him a helping hand from Shamayim. You want to do real tshuva by making other people do tshuva? Let me give you a hand. So how come you didn't give me a hand so far? Oh, because you don't really want it. That's the only reason. Why? Because he knows what's in your heart. If you're not succeeding doing kiruv, that's because Hashem knows in your heart it's rotten potatoes. You don't really want it. Sometimes you see people, they're speaking for years, like this Jonathan Levi, still has nobody watching him. Why? Because in his heart is rotten potatoes. Hashem is helping Am Yisrael not to know this clown. Reality is, Rabotai, Hashem sees what's in your heart. You want to do something, Hashem is going to make it happen. You don't want to do it, Hashem is going to make that happen too. Hashem is going to make that happen too. Be'ezrat Hashem, this gives us enough chizuk in regards to understanding what does it mean being a Ben Torah, what does it mean to being a Jew, what does it mean to do kiruv, what does it mean to care about anybody other than yourself. And please, please do me a favor, do yourself a favor. Take a minute a day during your prayer. Don't even make extra time because that's already asking for too much sometimes. During your prayer, you do Birkat HaMazon, once a day, or you do Amidah 3 times a day, you do Kriyat Shema once or twice or 3 times a day, you do something, add Am Yisrael in your prayers. Add Am Yisrael in your prayers and say, please Am Yisrael, Hashem help Am Yisrael do tshuva. Add Am Yisrael, pray for Am Yisrael. That's the only thing we have left. It's the only thing we have left. The Gzerot, the decrees from Shamayim are getting worse and worse by the day, and they're not going to get fixed unless Am Yisrael does tshuva. It's time for us to start praying. It's time for us to start crying. If you can cry, cry. If you can't cry, cry anyway. If you want, you can smash your head against the wall a few times. Eventually, you'll start crying. If you can't do it, I can do it for you. Cry for Am Yisrael, please. It's the only thing that can help us. Be'emet. I try to make it a laughing matter, but it's no joke. It's not a joke. Bemet, you have to cry for Am Yisrael. It's the only thing that's going to help us right now. Things are horrible. Any questions? I'll see you on Sunday. There is a possibility that next week there's going to be an extra shiur. There's going to be a shiur on Thursday, possibly. At the house that we had a shiur that they invited us maybe about 2 months ago. I forget the area, I don't know. Huh? Yes, the shiur about mysticism. They invited me again to come and give a shiur. Yes, so Hashem, the most likely there's going to be a shiur next Thursday there as well. But we also have a shiur on Sunday, Bezrat Hashem, for our shailot v'tshuvot, our questions. Bezrat Hashem, hopefully some more fire and good stuff. And continuing our MUSSAR series next week, next Tuesday, Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.